Here at Intoxicated Reviews, we intellectually dissect the art of cinema, scene by scene. Here's some clips.
All he is just a fucking big wooden doll full of cum, chasing kids around.
You look up guys who poop in a bag. Because I think that's where you'll find him. Because he is hurt.
It's probably just in your search history anyway, isn't it?
This movie fucking blows.
So don't forget to subscribe to Intoxicated Reviews on all places you find podcasts. Except Spotify. We're working on it.
Boys Club. Is it called Boys Club because my apartment looks like a boy lives in it?
I wouldn't say a boy lives in it. I would say a boy is kidnapped somewhere in here.
Boys Club.
We're everything. We're true crime. We're World Star Hip Hop.
World Star Hip Hop. We're Netflix reviews.
Stories of the day.
Boys Club.
Listen.
Yeah, do it. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. I think. No, we're not. And on Google Play. Nobody gives a shit.
Boys Club.
Boys Club Podcast. Now with 90% more sound clips of black people.
Boys Club.
Touch me, and I'll sue.
Hey everyone, Chris Hansen here of Hansen vs. Predators, and Catch Your Predator, why don't you have a seat right over there and listen to Kyle and Brandon, our podcast. According to my chat logs, Kyle and Brandon have interesting guests.
No, I hated it.
Yeah.
Everybody's sweaty, everybody's on drugs, so they're super sweaty but also touchy, and then they touch your face, then you leave there, and the next day you have pimples.
Fantastic conversation.
He's underground in a lab, floating in a tank of water, because he almost died.
And most important, no predators.
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Oh, hey, Internet. Welcome back to another episode of the Intoxicated Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, and this is the comedy variety talk show where I talk to friends, comedians, and various guests, usually while drinking. We are here for episode 149. I am one away from 150, which is a big milestone, I think anyway. 150 is a big, nice, round number. Almost 3 years of podcasting. Absolutely insane. As you guys know, Intoxicated is celebrating its 3-year anniversary at the end of February. I launched Intoxicated on February 24th, 2016. And hopefully you've seen already on social media, I am doing a live show. Finally getting up on a stage and gonna celebrate 3 years of Intoxicated. I'm also making this live show kind of like my birthday celebration as well. End of February and early March is always kind of like a big time of year for me, so I'm going all out this year. It's gonna be tons of fun. So Intoxicated live show, February 28th at Sniggly Wiggly's, downtown Halifax. And guys, I'm starting to flesh out the details. Of this show. Tickets are going on sale tomorrow. So when this comes out on Friday, they will be on sale on February 1st. That gives you almost a solid month to get tickets. I'm so excited for this. I'm so insanely nervous as well. This is totally new for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I know that's a shocker. After 2 live stream marathons of being stressed out and not knowing what I was doing, you'd think I'd learn by now not to take on too much. But I'm truly excited for this live show. It's going to be tons of fun. I'm going to throw out some names to you guys. I have kind of confirmed some people to do sets, and these are names you're going to recognize. So you are going to see Travis Lindsay, Andrew Vaughn, and Catherine Robertson. These are 3 pillars of the Halifax comedy scene. These are comics that have been doing it for a long time. So you are getting pro comics at my live show. These guys are top tier. They are good friends of the podcast. They always help me out, and they've done so much for Intoxicated, so it's going to be so cool to have them at the live show. There's going to be a lot of really fun segments during the live show. I'm starting to flesh those out now and pare my ideas down a bit. I'm going to try to keep it simple. Stupid, but it's going to be tons of fun, and I hope you guys pick up your tickets. And let me know that you can make it, because if no one comes, I might just quit this podcast. Actually, probably not. I mean, I haven't quit yet, and I've, trust me, wanted to quit many times, but I love this thing and I love you guys. So thank you so much for listening to Intoxicated and supporting the show. Please come party with me. Come say hi. It's going to be so much fun. This week's episode, you guys, oh my gosh. This week's guest is Bryan Otter. What a gem of a human being. What a nice guy, funny guy. I had so much fun with Bryan. Bryan's actually somebody who reached out in the early days of Intoxicated and has always been on my radar. He is currently in Moncton, New Brunswick. He is a Hell's Basement regular and a good friend of the Halifax comedy scene. So finally, we got to meet and hang out, and he told some pretty crazy stories on this episode. It is a good one, you guys. Get a drink and a snack and buckle in for this one. We were also joined by Kyle Barnet, another guest co-host. I'm loving doing this guest co-host thing. It's a lot of fun. So big thanks to Kyle for popping on the podcast. So please follow Bryan Otter on Instagram. He is definitely not Otter on Instagram. I'll link below to that. And you can follow Kyle at Kyle Barnet, Comedy Dum Dum, and check out his podcast. Kyle and Brandon are podcast. You've probably heard the hilarious ad at the top of the show, which is like the best ad ever. Check that out. It's another great comedy podcast. They interview comedians in the scene. So freaking subscribe to that. And make sure you give Intoxicated a follow on Facebook and Instagram and on Twitter at @in_intoxicated. You can check out Patreon, patreon.com/intoxicated. And guys, I forgot to mention, but we are coming up on 150. And for episode 150, I have decided to make you guys the host of the episode. So I wanted to do something special for 150, and I didn't want to go too crazy because, like I've said, I'm prepping for this live show, which is going to be the big celebration. 3 years is close to 150, so it's just a little too close for me to do something really big for 150. But what I thought I could do is take questions from you guys and allow you guys to kind of collaborate with me on this episode. So there's a couple things you can do here. You can actually send me a video recording of you asking me a question. What I would suggest is upload that to Google Drive. Send me the Google Drive link to intoxicatedpodcast@gmail.com. You could also just send your written questions to intoxicatedpodcast@gmail.com. And something really cool, I now have it set up that you can actually send me an audio recording, like a voicemail. And that is on the Intoxicated website, intoxicated.com/voicemail. And I'll leave links below to this. I encourage you guys to send in your questions, your feedback, your comments. You can roast me, toast me, do whatever you want. I want to hear from y'all. And I think it'd be fun to sit down and answer some questions. And I might have a friend sit down with me to answer the questions. So please send in your questions for episode 150. Also subscribe on YouTube, and you can stay tuned for video versions of episodes on there as well. And honestly, just spread the word. Tell a friend, share that you're listening. Let me know if you're listening, what you think of the podcast. You know, almost even 3 years in, I'm still just like, who's listening to this fucking thing? You know, like it does constantly feel like you're just kind of throwing things out there and you're not really sure where it goes. So I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. That's about it, you guys. Enjoy this episode with Bryan Otter and guest co-host Kyle Barnet. You're the perfect podcast guest.
Are we live already?
Not yet.
Okay, cool.
Not yet. Well, I mean, I'm recording. Do you want to stream live? We can stream this.
You just mentioned that you wanted to do live, so I'm down for literally.
Do you want to go live?
Do.
We could totally go live.
Are we going to do a live one?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, we might get.
It's up to you. We can just record it if you
like. Let's talk for a bit, and then we'll go.
We'll make it look
live.
Yeah,
let's yell
when we get to the juice.
Gin and juice, baby.
I was looking up wedding dresses on Wish here.
Nice.
That's fine. Well, I was thinking I could wear one at the live show just to really showcase how much of a train wreck I am.
That's fair.
Like I'm marrying my own podcast because no man will ever love me.
What if you were to tie-dye the dress?
Tie-dye it?
Yeah, just be like, this is who I am, this is the real me, because white symbolizes being like virginity, being prudish. You're a podcast getting drunk and telling everybody all of your secrets and
or it could be a black it could be a black wedding dress.
You look like a spooky bitch.
Oh, I am a spooky bitch.
And then it's that. Buy yourself a black wedding dress. That would look sweet. You should Google it. Is that supposed to
I am. Let's see. So far,
I got this.
Black wedding
dresses.
Because you can buy anything on Wish. Yeah, something like that.
Can we try to buy a Kyle?
Buy a me?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if you're on Wish.
Type in Kyle.
Kyle Barnet.
Is that you hit the end of your name?
That is no.
Barnet, that looks so feminine.
That's a very French. No, one N, one T.
Man, we're real good friends. I'm sorry.
I guess I don't exist. But if you try the black market, it's a completely different story.
Can you imagine going on the dark web
and seeing myself for sale? How much do you think it would be?
For you?
Yeah.
At least $12.
A dozen. 12.
Dozens of dollars. I don't know, dude.
12.
I would be really...
Thousands.
A case of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I would be very cheap.
Oh my God, that's the bell.
There's the bell!
Didn't know what it sounded like. I heard it a bunch.
Yeah, it sounds like a bell, so...
Yeah,
I started the
I
bell
didn't know what kind of
trend.
bell. This is like a hotel bell. It's fucking sick.
And then other podcasts picked it up, but I started it.
That's so sweet.
So I want to make that known that I was the one who started it.
we start getting into anything, I just kind of want to say that you are fucking awesome.
Oh,
I've been watching your podcast a whole bunch, and it looks like it's done by a production team, and you're doing this in your apartment, and it's super cool. I don't think you're getting the traction that you should be getting. I don't know what the fuck, but it's gonna for sure blow.
There's some traction.
Yeah. It's good. It's like it's taking up and stuff, but I think you should already be huge just with the production that everything is in here already. Like, it's super cool.
Thanks, man. That's really, I really appreciate. And also, like, you were one of the earlier people that reached out to me.
Yeah.
When I first started, you were one of the earlier people who saw that it was a comedy podcast and was like, hey, I'd love to come on. And like literally you were always on my radar.
That's cool.
Always. But you know, like then I just got caught up with like interviewing Halifax comedians and stuff. And but like I'm so glad you're finally here. This has been a journey to get to here.
I'm very excited to be here.
He's always on my radar.
So because I'm a whale?
And you traveled to get here. Which is
you traveled like 13, 14 hours, I'd say.
Felt like it. It took me 3.
How long's the drive to Moncton?
Oh no, like nice day, it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Today it took me closer to 3 hours.
Okay.
Because there were a bunch of transport trucks hydroplaning all over the place.
Oh shit! Yeah, did you hear that Kobe Bryant died?
He just told me.
I just told him in the most messed up way possible.
Did you? How'd you tell him?
What did I say?
For real?
Yeah.
We can cut it if you want.
I don't remember what I said.
I mean, I don't know of any basketball.
Kyle was like, because we are always trying to like mess with each other off mic.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I think I wrote a really awful joke.
I didn't. It's not an awful joke.
And I was
what
like,
was it?
And I was like, okay. And he goes, before I tell you the joke, you have to know this. Kobe Bryant died. And I was like, is this the joke? And he's like, no, that's for real. But, and I was like, don't even give me time to process. And then how did the joke go? Oh, Kobe Bryant died doing what he loved, playing basketball in a helicopter. What the fuck?
Tyler Morrison had a good one. He said something like, I had a helicopter Kobe Bryant joke, but I didn't think it would land.
Ooh.
And I thought that was pretty good.
That's introspective.
I don't get... Someone's so famous and rich, like I don't really always like. But I'm also not a sports fan, so this one doesn't really bug me too much.
It boggles my brain that he's like a professional athlete, supposed to be in peak shape, and passed away while Travis Barker, which is a drummer that does drugs, survived a plane crash.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
Kobe should have
I wonder if helicopter crashes are worse than planes. Maybe. Like I wonder what goes into that.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I feel like your survival rate of both is very slim.
That's the dream.
To survive a plane crash?
To not survive if you're in one, to be completely frank.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm going to
Did you hear
Florida
that his daughter was with him, though? Fuck.
Really?
His daughter was with him. 13 years old.
Well, you shouldn't have kids, man.
But I read that, like, I read that he takes a lot of helicopters to games, or like, I'm like, well, you know, you could probably drive.
That's
maybe.
Mother Nature being like, should have gotten a car.
I'd be curious as to what happened, like why it crashed. I'd be curious to find that out.
The pilot was trying to take selfies. Can't believe Kobe Bryant's in my cab.
In his cab?
I don't know. That's what the cockpit of a helicopter is. Cab. Read a book.
Helicopters scare me. They scare me. I mean, planes scare me, but helicopters I think scare me a bit more because they feel more. They feel more rickety. That's the word I would use.
They need way more maintenance.
What are you scared of, Brian?
Me?
Yeah.
Everything. Clowns specifically is my main one.
Let's open this fucking episode. I can't wait. You guys, welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast.
I knew it already.
We're here with Bryan Otter.
Hello.
Finally.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is rad.
Finally, Bryan. And we have a co-host again.
That means I'm not
Mr. Kyle Barnet is here.
Hi.
Being my co-host.
Hello.
At the end, there's going to be a competition for best co-host.
Josie.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. You're already doing better than Chris.
That's not hard, though.
I mean, duh. Look at that beard.
Hey, I look at your beard.
Yeah.
Bryan, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. And so you traveled down from New Brunswick. You are from Moncton.
Yeah, that's where I'm situated right now. I'm originally from there, but I spent the last 10 years not there. So I've been there for a year again. So it's a little weird.
Oh, holy shit. You've had a life, from what I can deduce based on the bullet points that you've given me so far.
It's been an experience. Every time weird shit happens, I kind of just pack up and go into a new city. So that's kind of like my favorite thing. Just like, everything here is a lot.
Yeah.
And take off. How many places have you lived?
Different cities, like 8.
Whoa, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
And weird how each one you had a wife that mysteriously died.
We're on the air right now.
And a different identity. Like that guy from the show You.
Today's Bryan Otter. Tomorrow he's Steve Beaver.
Bryan,
sorry, I didn't mean to give away your next identity.
Well, that's what I want to bring. Okay, Otter is your last name. Is your real last name Otter?
It's not my real last name. No, it kind of stuck. It was a nick. I lived in a frat house my first year of university, and I was living in a house with 98 other dudes. And super originally, they decided that they were going to base it off of the movie Animal House. So over the last, it's been open for 85 years. Everybody always gets a frosh name, which is the name that you're initiated into the family, and that's what they keep calling you. So everybody got nicknames, and then I got the nickname Otter, and it stuck like the plague. So after, I kept introducing myself as Bryan to everyone, and then 3 years later, I was still introducing myself as Bryan, and then somebody would show up and be like, "Hey, Otter," and they're like, "Oh, you're Otter," and I'm like, "Okay." So it just became easier to introduce myself as Otter because I lived in Fredericton for such a long time, and it's not a big place, so everybody addressed me as Otter. So if somebody knew of me, they'd know me as that. So it just became easier.
Okay, that makes sense. Because whenever I saw it, I was like, is that his real last name?
No.
Is there a reason why they chose Otter?
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the film Animal House?
No.
Okay, so the character Otter is super self-involved, super egotistical, super self-obsessed, and I was none of those things. I was a former fat kid and didn't believe in myself. Oh yeah, I used to be 350 pounds.
Oh shit!
So I was double this, and to try to make people not realize that I hated myself, I straightened my hair and put on eyeliner and paint my nails. So it would take me forever to get ready before we did anything. So because it took me a long time, they were like, "Oh, he must love himself." To the opposite, but then the name Otter stuck.
Whoa, 350.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was very. I really liked McDoubles and soda.
Those will get ya.
That's all.
I do too, though.
They're my favorite thing in the world, but I can't have them anymore. I'm having an exception right now.
You're just off
podcast.
Off the fast food entirely.
Unless I really have to.
Yeah.
So if you're on the road, I'll stop and grab.
What's the situation besides on the road where you have to eat McDonald's?
I was just gonna say.
Besides being
Life
held
or death.
captive by. Because besides being held captive by Ronald McDonald.
Stop!
Life or death.
Sorry, Grimace.
Zombie apocalypse situation. The only food nearby is Burger King. You might.
Or are you scared of Grimace?
Grimace?
Is it Grimace that you're afraid of?
Who's Grimace? Oh, is he the pimple-looking one?
He's the
pimple-looking one.
Purple.
The purple one? Yeah, he doesn't really start. I wouldn't want to be around him. He doesn't look like a cool guy at all.
No.
So I don't want to deal with that.
What about the Hamburglar?
I'd fuck with a Hamburglar.
You'd fuck the Hamburglar?
Yeah, maybe. Is he nice? Does he care about me? Does he like science? Science is my cat.
Science is your cat?
Mm-hmm.
Your cat's name is Science?
Yeah. I have a 12-year-old orange cat named Science.
I mean, that's a pretty badass name. Come here, Science. Come here.
I got him in a house. I was living with 3 dudes, and everybody was engineers. So we got a cat out of a dumpster, and we were like, "Why are we doing this?" And then I was like, "For science." And then it evolved into just being the name of the cat. So whenever we do anything dumb and anybody was like, "What are you doing?" He'd be like, "For science."
For science.
And then it turned out to be for the cat.
And that's really weird for you because you were a devout Catholic.
Yeah.
Am I
still
correct saying that?
Don't worry that.
You are a devout Catholic.
Devout. Super. I'm wearing the turtleneck under this.
Sure, of course.
Oh.
What's your favorite hymn?
Fuck. Okay, I got caught on a lie. I'm sorry. I don't know.
I was going to
about
jump in and say
Catholicism.
I was in the church choir.
Were you really?
As someone who was raised Catholic, and even at a young age, being like, "This is bullshit. I don't believe in this," but would still like go sing in the choir. And one
it was fun.
of my favorite songs was this song called "Stand Up, Dry Your Eyes." It's an Easter song, and it's like, "Stand up, dry your eyes, hey, the Lord is alive, sing."
What?
And I remember all of it.
That's terrible. Just be like, hey, I know he died and you've been crying for 4 months, but you can chill.
Stand up, dry your eyes.
I love that, actually. Just kind of play that at my funeral. Once I die, be like, it's cool, stop crying, go
Yeah, your
outside.
funeral. I'm gonna hire Ronald McDonald to do the eulogy.
Okay, so you're afraid of clowns.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Kyle couldn't be making
I feel like
up.
everyone is afraid of clowns.
They should be. Any smart person would be uncomfortable in that situation. It makes no sense to like clowns.
Yeah.
What situation have you ever been in other than a child?
Not
in a child, but as a child.
I don't think I encountered a lot of clowns growing up.
You're fucking lucky.
Yeah, like
the worst.
Like we didn't do like because when would you like at a birthday party or something? Did people hire clowns for birthday parties?
I never had a clown at my
No,
birthday
we
party.
had one of like my best friend growing up. His mom was a clown on the side, but she didn't tell me that it was her. So she would just show up to our school all the time, and we'd be in the library, just like trying to read. Do you remember like those books like Mr. Happy and Mr. Glum, and like they're just shapes.
Yes.
I'd just be trying to read those things, and then she'd show up and like surprise you to give you a magic trick in the library, but it was
And
always
she go
the
doot
worst.
doot doodle.
Shut up!
That's terrifying.
I wish you would have picked Chris Aleph as a coach.
Oh, shot to the heart.
That hurts my feelings.
Oh.
Ouch.
Maybe I'll just Photoshop Chris in on
On Kyle, that's probably for the best.
That'd be but do like the South Park where you cut Chris in the mouth, so that every
Yes.
time Kyle talks, the Chris face just goes.
That would be terrifying.
You'd make an adorable Chris.
Chris actually did I don't know if you listened, but on Albert's episode, he did an impression of you.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, do you? Well,
I refuse to.
you have a 1-up. Can you do a Chris Aleph impression?
Wait, give me a sec.
Ding ding.
That's the first bell.
I'm trying to think of one of his bits, but they're all so forgetful.
They're forgettable.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have one about kissing his son on the dick? Love you, Chris. I'm joking. Let's hang out.
He has a cadence about him.
Oh yeah, he looked. Especially yesterday, he showed up to Hell's Basement.
With
started off with his set. He did amazing last night in Hell's. But started off talking about how when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't like himself.
Yeah.
So he feels pressure when he goes out into public. But he told a group of people this while dressed like one of the Columbine kids, like a school shooter. And I was just like, well, change your outfit and maybe people won't think you're dangerous.
Jesus Christ.
Cargo pants, black denim vest. You might as well had a Marilyn Manson shirt on.
Jesus.
I love him.
Oh, Chris. What a guy.
I'm not going to impression him because I don't want to give this to him as fodder later.
What does that mean?
I don't even ammo.
Yeah, fodder is what they used to put in cannons on pirate ships.
Oh, I'm learning
Yeah,
things.
cannon fodder.
That is
Did you learn that from Age of Empire? It's a good game.
Is that one of those phone ones?
No! It's like Windows 95. It's like old school.
How old are you?
35.
No, I'm 29.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in the realm. I'm turning 33.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I thought you were like mid-20s.
Really? Yeah. That's the looks.
Kyle's 80. I came up with this earlier, but Kyle's 80 and he wears young person makeup. You know those videos where like athletes dress up like old people and go lift weights in the park?
Yes.
Kyle's doing that. He's just like an old guy dressed like a baby
Yeah.
boy trying to pick up chicks.
Do people?
I don't know. Those are on Pornhub. You watch those on Pornhub?
Yeah, subscribe.
Do people ever ask you like what age do you feel? Like do you feel your age or are you like?
I don't know.
I feel
born in the
younger
wrong
than I am or
generation,
older
kinda.
than I am, kind of thing.
What do you?
I feel younger than I
have
what I am.
arthritic knees, if that's what you mean.
So you feel older?
I guess.
Ooh, that's
But
already kicking
I also
in already.
don't pay my taxes, so I could be a 17-year-old.
Oh
Who knows?
no! You gotta do
I'm
that.
all over the place.
The man will catch up to you.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry.
Fair. I'm just gonna change my phone number. We'll be good.
Oh, going back to the changing identities thing.
Kyle, stop outing me, dude.
I didn't say your name.
I haven't committed any crimes, I promise.
There's an app apparently. I just heard about this. It's called Instant Checkmate. And it's literally you can put anyone's name in and get like background information on them.
This is an app or a website?
I think it's a website. I think it's Instant Checkmate. Because I googled it because someone was talking about it.
Where do they get this information? They buy it from your phone provider?
I don't know. I guess it's like background check. So like if you have done anything, it would show up in there.
Oh God. Oh, I want to know, but I also don't want to know at all.
If it's like a criminal thing, that's cool.
Yeah,
but I don't want it to be like, hey, it takes 30 minutes to text back and once had syphilis.
Can you
like, that's fucking weird.
I'm actually like extremely curious as
I love this setup.
We're gonna find out what crimes we've committed by accident.
Because I think it's accidental ding. Oh,
twice.
Another.
The keyboard is on fire.
I'm curious because I think it is free.
Instant Checkmate.
And it's like psycho chicks use it to look up like their like if you're going on a date with someone, you can like pre-screen them. So
I don't know if I call these chicks psycho though. That's like the most safe thing you can do.
Yeah. I would agree.
Which is pretty cool. Being like, hey, who is this guy? And then it's like, hey, he kills cats, and you're like, no, I'm gonna do this.
Let's
oh,
look.
Also watch Don't Fuck with Cats if you haven't yet.
I refuse. I can't because I hear that there's like they show things and that. Animal abuse.
A guy getting brought to justice.
True.
Luca Magnotta? What's his
name? I think it's Magnotta. Yeah.
I was on edibles when I watched it. So
yeah.
I don't remember any names or details.
Now,
he was in Belize at one point. That's all I know.
Oh, is it only in the States?
Oh, thank God.
Oh, it's only.
But maybe you could change countries somehow.
You could write New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Well, let's just see if there's any Kyle Barnetts in North Carolina. I will laugh.
What do you identify as, Kyle? Oh, for those of you who can't see, are you capturing the screen as well?
No, not currently.
To see it? Okay.
But
for those of you who can't see, it asks for Kyle's name and then his gender, and now it's scrolling through a Rolodex of faces in hopes to find out that Kyle is not a pervert.
Let's say that you did live in Indianapolis.
I don't want to know.
Sure.
With this Kyle Barnet, because I looked up Kyle Barnet on Facebook and stuff or whatever.
Oh, this is crazy! Look, it's like saying like, are they related? This is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If they had one of these for Canada,
I think it's called Watchdog.
Watchdog?
No, that's just where you go find perverts. It tells you where the perverts are in your neighborhood.
It's like asking questions to narrow down the results, which is insane.
That's really cool. Thank you for your input. We will search for Kyle Barnet immediately.
Is
Kyle age 40 or older? Yes.
Yes, he is.
For sure. He's an old guy in a young virgin suit.
Say a young virgin suit?
Sure.
Look, like we're getting results. Do you suspect that Kyle Barnet has been charged with a felony?
Probably.
Of being what?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Just be safe, yeah.
Yeah, we don't. That's why we're checking. We don't know.
If you were to commit a felony, which one would it be?
Ooh, good
Downloading movies like a nerd.
I still download. It's just easier. Sometimes it takes me hours to find like streaming sites. I'm like, this is taking so long. I should just torrent it.
You should just get a Kodi on Amazon.
I heard about this.
Yeah, they're like $60.
Okay.
What is downloading media is wrong. You should never do it. However, if you really wanted to, they sell these devices online, and the way that it works is you input any movie that you want to watch or show.
Kyle A. Barnet, but
it banks and documents all of the sites that are streaming sites for it. So you click on a movie, and then it brings you to all of your options, Locker, and all of those, and then you go through, and then it plays it as if it's like a Netflix platform, but it just banks all of these streaming services for you.
I just don't like streaming because you have to click through so many to find one that works.
Yeah, this does it for you.
Does it?
Yeah, so this is a device specifically, so you type the thing, it checks all of them, the ones that don't work get booted, and the ones that work stay there.
Oh, that is pretty bitchin'.
Yeah, it's really cool. However, they get scrambled all the time because they're illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to YouTube, like, some dude how to fix it, and then they teach you how to do it in 30 minutes. But
what
it's
dude?
Pretty good. I don't know, there's probably some.
Do you have to pay for the reports? I feel like you have to pay for these.
The worst it's going to do is ask us for a credit card and we use Kyle.
Contains a lot of information.
Uh-oh.
Kyle A. Barnet. But by the way...
What's your middle name?
Jonathan.
What's your middle name?
Louise.
Oh, cool.
Also, I lied. It's actually Ronald.
Oh my god, that's funny.
For those of you listening, you could almost hear that eye roll.
Yeah, seriously.
Christ.
Well, we're not going to go through all of this, but
It's cool that it exists.
The fact is that it exists, and if
It scares me.
if you want to put, I mean, as long as you don't do anything wrong, like as long as you're a good person, you'll be
who's to say
fine.
what's wrong and what's not?
Yeah.
Well, all
is
this-
him not paying his taxes wrong?
I'm working on it. I've been on the phone. There's a guy who
Oh,
called
you're-
me. They're like, "This is the CRA. Give me your SIN number." I gave him my SIN number. He's gonna send me my shit.
There you go.
Don't give him your SIN number.
I give that shit away too easily.
Like when they call you, like prank call them, they're like, "You're in trouble. You will be arrested tomorrow." I shouldn't do an accent.
Well, like,
Yeah, you already have one.
are you French?
Spanish. No, I'm French. Yeah.
So you speak it fluently?
Yeah, it's my first language. It's my mother tongue. Yeah, so I went to school in French my entire childhood, and then I grew up in like a weird home where my mom speaks French and my dad speaks English, and my mom will speak to my dad in French. My dad will reply in English. So growing up, me and my brother just grew up with both.
Yeah,
so
you
I
speak-
talk to my dad in English, and I talk to my mom in French.
You speak 3 languages, don't you?
Me?
You speak English, French, and a bunch of baloney.
So much bologna on this podcast, which I love to eat, by the way. Fried bologna.
Oh man, I hadn't had it in like 10 years, and then my roommate brought home like a whole log, and like a Yule log of bologna.
A Yule log!
I got super excited. I haven't had a piece yet, but
Fried bologna. That's what I call you when you're laying out in the sun.
Jesus Christ.
All the roasting that is happening.
Yeah, roasted bologna over here.
That's insane.
Oh man, keep up.
You want me to come back at you?
We're on
my
ourchat.com.
Our chat. Oh,
What is
fuck
our
off.
chat?
This is
Like
like
a chat roulette thing?
So when I stream, so many updates all the time. I stream to Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and it molds the two chats together.
Oh, okay. So it's like
into one.
Streamlabs.
Exact. You got
Like
it.
a different option.
Do
Yeah.
do you stream?
I set it up.
Yeah, but you
I
haven't done it.
I haven't had the time yet, but I really want to. It's something I've wanted to do for like a year because I play a lot of video games and it's just like a waste of time unless you do something with it. So I
You
feel
totally
like if
should.
I can just talk to people and
Oh, here
have
we
a good
go.
time at the same
Yeah.
time, that'd be really fun.
Let's see.
However, I'm super peculiar with the overlays and I still haven't figured out how that works when you're Twitch streaming.
Oh yeah, I can give you. I love making my own.
That's what I want to do.
I
have
actually make my
tablet
own.
and I have like a bunch of like
Nice.
instead of new subscriber, that sounds shitty. I want to be like new friend.
New friend, new
That's what I want.
subscriber. Live recording with, and it's Bryan with a Y, right?
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Otter and Baby Bird.
And Otter and Baby Bird. It's like a
kid's
children's book.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my god, that would be so cute.
Do you want to illustrate? Can you draw? Can you draw?
I used to draw. So in junior high school, and even into college, I took drawing in college.
That's cool.
And we had to draw live models, but they weren't
Knew
naked.
it. Really?
They weren't naked.
Did you go to Christian school?
No, but I went to Stand of X for 1 year.
Is that a religious school?
It's sort of,
That's the one where they give you like a wax ring, right?
but it's not like I mean, like there's a chapel there and stuff, but it's not like forced on you or anything.
In case you want to get married.
Yeah.
Right out of college.
Get pregnant on Thursday.
Well,
Get married on Friday.
Yeah, anyone who goes there could get married there, like in the chapel. I think actually you
Does
could
the
just.
school have a priest? Like a school
I
reverend?
think so. So I stayed in the residence at X that was haunted, because a nun, I think, fucked a priest, got pregnant, and then killed herself.
So which
And then-
goes, is it the kid or her?
Her.
Oh, fuck. That's less.
And that story went on to inspire a little show called Three's Company.
Oh my god. Are priests? Is whatever Saint FX religion, whatever religion Saint FX is, is it Catholic?
I would say so.
Catholic priests
Because-
are
Protestant.
to be. Oh, okay.
Anna
It's one of
Ganesh
those-
is
it's
quite-
one of
No, they're
those Catholic
Scientologists mostly.
Could you imagine?
Saint FX? Is that Xavier?
Do you guys
Yeah.
have a Scientology here?
Yes. In Fairview.
Really?
Are you lying?
No. Legitimate. The last time I've heard, there was a Scientology church or place temple, whatever.
Have you gone?
Yeah. No.
Do you want to go tomorrow morning?
No, not really. Not really.
Okay. Get some pamphlets. Cheers.
Scientology's fucked.
Seems like a lot of fun.
No way around it. Those guys are real jerks.
Oh, there we are. Oh, there's a delay.
Oh, that's gonna. Yeah, please change that tab because I'm gonna be confused.
Yeah, there's 100% a delay in this. I'm gonna just put this on
Cool.
on Facebook. Do I have you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. I always forget.
I'm pretty sure.
Who I have and who I don't.
Is your dad a judge?
He is.
Cool. I didn't know. Judge Judy.
Her dad's Judge Judy.
Judge O'Brown.
He's a retired Supreme Court judge.
Really? Cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned it in a podcast, but you mentioned it so nonchalantly that I was like, is that like a turn of phrase? Like, I'm just a judge's daughter. And I was like, I've never heard that before. And for some reason it stuck in my brain. I was like, I have to ask her that.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up, it was quite strict growing up.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But like, he's a cool, jolly guy.
When you show up and like you fucked up at school, would he be like sitting behind a desk? Just, like,
Dun 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 dun.
Go.
Not really. I mean, they weren't really strict on me in terms of grades. I was just always like I just stayed average my whole life.
Damn.
Like, what about you guys? Were you guys like good in school? Like, did you excel?
Horrendous.
Were you actually bad?
Yeah,
in school?
absolutely awful.
Yeah.
You didn't do good?
No.
I did.
But I also had a learning disability, so.
Oh.
Dyslexic?
ADD?
Colorblind.
Just a learning disability. Colorblind.
I don't know, man.
You're in elementary and they're like, name these 3 colors. And Kyle's like, gray, black,
That happened to me.
darker gray.
What?
I'm colorblind, and then in kindergarten we had to draw a Christmas card, and then my Christmas tree was apparently a blue instead of a green, and then I gave it to someone, and everybody started making fun of me, and then my mom told the teacher that I was colorblind, and then a couple weeks later we were all playing the game of what do you want to be when you grow up, and I was like, I want to be an astronaut, and the kindergarten teacher was like, you can't be an astronaut, you're colorblind. And I was like, what the? And that shattered my dreams.
Yeah.
So
talk about a blue Christmas.
A lot of men are colorblind.
Yeah.
That's like extremely common.
It's like 30% of men are colorblind, and of everyone that's colorblind, 90% of them are men. So if you take everyone with colorblind, only a small amount of them are women. And of the women that are colorblind, only a percentage of them can't see colors.
Oh, right, because there's spectrums of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they can still differentiate, but if they have a baby, that baby's going to be colorblind. So I assume that's what happened with us, because my dad's colorblind. Both my brothers are.
So, like,
my
so
mom's
what's your
brother's a
spectrum of
carrier.
colorblindness? Like,
I'm Pro-10 deficient.
okay, so what does that mean?
So the way that your eyes work is there's 3 sets of rods and cones inside of your eyes. And so essentially you have a red cone, a blue cone, and a green cone. And then when you look at light, so let's say we're looking at this lighter.
Yeah.
When the red light from the lighter hits your eye, it gets refracted by, can't remember the name of the whatever refracts the light, but it splits it up into whatever the components of red, blue, and green is going in your eyes. And then those cones grab it and goes, is this % red, this % green, this % blue, and then it sends that information to your brain that calculates what the color should be. Because all a color is like a speed of light, right? It's like a wavelength of light which changed the color.
That's insane to think about.
Yeah, so like for example, if Kyle was wearing a red
that freaks me out a bit.
Really?
That freaks me. I don't know why that freaks me out.
If you were to put a red T-shirt on Kyle and make him run really, really fast, you would see him as blue.
Wow.
That's just how color behaves.
So what were the cones?
Red or L, N, and M, which is red, green, and blue.
You know, the kind of cone I'd like to have in my
Ice
eye?
cream cone?
An pine cone.
You're a baby bird, not a squirrel. Chill. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So essentially, when you're Pro-10, the red cones accept green light, and when you're Do-10, the green cones accept red light. So when I look at something, the light gets refracted in my eyes, split up, and then let's say it's 50% red, 25% green, 25% blue, my eyes might go, it's 75% green, 25% blue, and then I'll see a different color than what it actually should be, because my brain doesn't calculate it properly. So it really messes me up when there's like colors close together, because instead of separating them and being like, this is a block of color and that's a block of color, it all comes into my face and then just looks like one.
Okay. So like, you know this curtain's red.
Yeah, but if there was like a pattern on it, I couldn't tell.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Do you find it hinders you in life?
Not really.
No,
Unless
yeah.
I'm like coloring. I'm shit at color by number. Oh, I was sucked at light bright as well.
Oh god.
I was a brutal light brighter.
Yeah, no one ever really got that though, so don't feel too bad.
You didn't like light bright?
I loved Light
we didn't have
Bright.
light bright.
You grew up poor. Sorry.
Scott McLean, get some better eyes, you dingus.
Me? I'm just really stoned, dude. Sorry. Learn how to spell. U is one more letter.
Old can't see colors, right? Guy over here. Oh, right. Okay, he's referring to colorblindness. Get some better eyes.
Yeah, that's not something you develop when you're getting old. Weird.
I see.
Scott's clearly not a doctor.
I see. It's 6:26, and Scott's hammered as usual.
All caps Scott over here. You know Scott McLean, right?
We had him. We had him
unfortunately.
on Thursday.
I saw that show.
Scott.
What was it? Picture
It was Telestration.
Telestrations.
So it's a game that Scott invented. No, not invented. It's a game that Scott bought. And then it's kind of like Pictionary meets telephone. So you write a word down, and then you pass it to me, and then I have to draw that word, and then pass it to Kyle, and then Kyle has to guess from my drawing what it was, and then it goes in a circle, and then there's like a great reveal.
I love that. That makes me laugh so hard.
It was a lot of fun. It was like the first ever doing of it, and it turned out really well. Everyone that was there had a great time. There was like 20-ish people, 25 people there. Scott, I'm watching Dennis the Menace with my kids.
No,
Kyle,
Dennis the Menace.
I'm shit-faced.
Just hammered watching his kids. Great.
Dennis the Menace.
Doesn't surprise me.
I've never seen Scott McLean wear a belt because they're always in their kids' room. No, I'm kidding. Do you beat your kids, Scott? I don't know.
That's really cool, though. I like
that he beats his kids.
Oh no!
No, that he.
So I was gonna isolate that podcast host.
Oh, I hope so.
Supports child abuse.
Scott's children.
Well, the idea for the show is cool. Like and that's kind of like what I want to do with the Intoxicated live show. Like I want to make it more interactive and fun, like more game show like.
Yeah, people really like the game show idea because they get to humiliate their friends.
Yeah.
So like not everyone wants to play the game, but everybody wants to go because their friend might play, and then they get to laugh at their friend, which makes it a lot of fun.
Right.
So like on Telestrations, we did 4 rounds, so 4 strangers from the audience came and played with us. And they were all like the best sports out of everyone.
Really?
Yeah, Harfouche can't draw was shit. He's frustrated. And
I can't either.
You can't like in a minute? You couldn't draw like a
I can if I have a reference point, I can draw it, but I can't just draw from my mind. Beat their ass in Mario Party.
Scott, you've already been on this podcast like 3 times. Leave us alone.
I know. It's like we're streaming live and just gonna ignore the comments.
That's a good idea.
What was I gonna say? So, Bryan, let's go back to the early days of you.
Okay.
So you were born
Bathurst.
You were born in Bathurst?
I was created in a slap. No, I was born in Bathurst. I was born in Bathurst, and then it's kind of a shithole of a town. So my parents were like, "We gotta get away from here."
Yeah.
And then we moved to Shediac, which is just like outside of Moncton. Have you ever been to
I
Shediac?
have been the giant lobster.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I used to be the giant lobster.
You used to be that?
Yeah, I used to. So Shediac has the lobster festival every year. And when I was like 14 years old, and I was like, "You're old enough to work." So then he got me a job at the festival. But because I was a fat kid, I could fit in the adult's lobster costume.
Oh, shit.
So it was like this giant paper mache head that weighed like 20 pounds. And they'd put that on me, and then a red leotard. And I had these giant claws. And I was in parades and had to go to schools and meet kids. And I was just the lobster.
What was that
for
like?
2 years.
Did you enjoy that?
No, it was the worst. There was no ventilation, so I was always perspiring, so I was always smelly. Kids would make fun of me for being smelly. Kids would hit at me and stuff. That was a lot of fun.
I don't know how people do that. It must be so hot in there, unless you're totally naked, which is also weird.
I did that one time.
Did you? Seriously?
I was in my underwear. No, nothing underneath, but I was wearing my underwear. And that actually stemmed into my fear of public speaking. It was because of this lobster.
Shit.
So I was the lobster mascot, and I had to be on a stage during a lobster eating competition, which is like everybody has 5 minutes to eat a lobster. The quickest person wins. And it's kind of just like, it's so weird because they never pick anyone who knows how to eat lobster. They'll like, where are you from? And they're like, I don't know, I'm like mainland China. And they're like, okay, cool, come on up. And like they'll pick people they know that probably haven't eaten lobster just so the fat CGS host can make fun of them. So it's like borderline problematic. Anyway, they had this lobster eating competition and it was during a storm day. So I'm dancing and I see out of the corner of my face that lightning hit the stage. But I'm wearing a lightning rod on my head. It's like a paper mache lobster head. So I panicked and I ripped off the leotard through the head and ripped off the leotard. And I was just in my underwear on a stage in front of like 3,000 people.
Holy shit!
So everybody started to laugh and I was like, ah! And then I ran off stage and quit. Quit that job!
Oh my god. And now you're terrified of public speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a comedian, which is funny.
It's getting
Is it the
better.
same thing?
Yeah, well, I'm doing... This kind of started as like, hey, fuck you, I'm going to beat that kind of thing.
Oh, interesting. Like, face your fears.
Yeah, because I always wanted to do it, but I was like, I can't do that. People don't want to look at me and see me, and then realize that people laugh when they see me all the time, so fucking try it.
So when did you start comedy?
3 years ago.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Still
Started
fairly
here.
new.
Yeah, I'm still super new at this. I'm learning, which is fun.
And like, so you were always a fan of comedy, and you were just like, I'm just gonna try it.
Yeah, I always loved it. Like is the only thing that my dad and I had in common growing up. We
nice.
liked comedy, and other than that, we had nothing in common. So
who were your guys growing up?
Like me and my dad.
Yeah, like
John Panette, Andrew Dice Clay, and Ron White were like my dad's
John Panette's
three
great.
favorite. Yeah, John Panette's amazing. He was probably the reason why I was fat growing up. I was like, I want to be this guy.
Yeah, nothing else.
Yeah, so that was super fun. So yeah, I grew up watching stand-up comedy with my dad and stuff, and like he did it a couple times when he was a kid. Apparently, he only told me this recently that he did it for when he was all in police force. He would also do that on the side, and then he was told that he couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he stopped to keep working. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he waited for 3 years to be like, I'm happy that you do this. I was like, why? He's like, I tried it and then didn't pursue it, and I was like, what the? Okay.
Get
That's
some
cool.
sort of gene there.
I guess so.
Interesting.
My dad wears high-rise jeans.
But bum.
So that was a Kyle Barnet joke.
Do you remember what your first show
No,
was
it
like?
wasn't.
My first one, terrible.
Where
it was
was
the worst
it?
experience of my life at High Life, and
High Life?
I'm still sorry Frank Russo for that. Yeah, he was like, you have 5 minutes, and I was like, okay. And then I went home, and I took 2 weeks. I booked 2 weeks in advance so that I could write out a 5 minutes and master it. And I'd walk around my apartment just narrating it to myself, and then I went up and panicked and did 5 minutes and 2.5 minutes and went, okay, bye, and ran. And
well,
then,
that's I feel like what I would do too if I tried. Like I would just want to get off as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
You
like
know?
that for like my first year. I was like always rapid fire everything.
Better to do that than go long, and not
Pull
know
up Chris Hallett. No, I'm just-
and not know when to stop. You know, like.
That's 100%. Never mind.
Oh, we're talking shit.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
We're talking shit. That's interesting. And so, how long did it take for you to get like comfortable?
I'm still not comfortable.
Really?
Oh yeah, I have a panic attack every time. Kyle watched it yesterday. We had a panic attack in unison.
Yes, we did.
What?
I wasn't even on the show. I
He
had
had a panic attack for me, which was it was cool. Thank
What
you
do
for
you
that.
mean?
My every time before a show, I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. My arm gets numb. My heart rate starts to go. I'm always very sweaty on stage. And then yesterday before the show was going, so you know how like at Yuck Yucks they play Blitzkrieg Bach before the show?
Yeah.
In Hell's they always play Valerie and then Sexy Motherfucker. And then as soon as Valerie comes on, it induces a panic attack. Like one time I was at the store and the song started and I almost ran out.
Holy
like to that
shit.
point. So the song started and I was like, I have to go for a cigarette. So I have it timed now that I can go out for a cigarette when the song starts, so I can come back 45 seconds before it starts, so I don't hear all of it.
Yeah.
And then so Kyle and I had a panic attack in unison, and it was beautiful.
Did you help each other out?
Yeah,
Does it help
yeah.
actually help having a friend to freak out with?
I don't know.
I'd say so.
I mean, yeah. Okay. I don't think it helps the panic attack, but it's comforting to be distracted by something. You're like not focused on your own shit because somebody else is dealing with it. So you're like, I'm gonna try to talk you through it, and it makes you forget your own shit. I think that would be helpful in that way.
Yeah, I often wonder how like. Because when I get nervous, I feel like I don't want to talk to people.
No, I get that.
I feel like I just want to pace by myself.
That was me up until like last year. Now I try to be more vocal about it and like tell people what's going on, because
Right.
I feel like once I start talking about it and acknowledging its existence, and I'm no longer suffering through that, because like the panic attack is like me trying to convince myself that I am having a panic attack for no good reason. And so once I'm like talking about it, it's like, okay, now I realize what's going on. I'm talking about it, talking to somebody about it, and all of a sudden it slowly kind of goes away.
Right. You use logic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk logically about the situation, like, and
it's weird. Yeah. I get, in a way, that's kind of what you have to do. Just kind of be like, it's nothing. But then your arms are going numb and you can't lift to smoke a cigarette, and then you're like, I might be dying.
I know. It's really hard. Anxiety's a fucking bitch.
Yeah. There's solutions. I'm just weird and lazy. It's like, you take SSRI. Fucking, if you have anxiety, go get SSRIs. They're like the medication for anti-anxiety, and they're like dope now. But to be able to do that, you have to go talk to doctors and be a real person, and that scares me enough to not do that.
Yeah. I tried to get antidepressants, and they were like, you're not quite depressed enough. And I was like, you should just maybe watch my Instagram stories.
Really?
I should just refer her to my Instagram stories and be like, take a closer look.
What is sad enough? What is the benchmark?
I think suicide.
You have to want to kill yourself before they give you drugs?
Yeah, I think so. I've deduced this after talking to a bunch of people who are medicated. They're like, you gotta almost like make it sound worse than it is to get medicated. It feels like that anyway.
Or just send me and I'll get you a bunch of I got you. Is that a crime? I'm joking.
It is interesting though, because I've never been on medication for anything like other than like just like birth control or like talent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never been medicated regularly, so I have no idea like what it would be like to be medicated.
Yeah, I don't know. I was addicted to Benadryl as a kid, but that was like the most medicated.
Jesus Christ. Because it put you to sleep?
Freaked me out. And no, I was allergic to mosquitoes growing up, and then anytime I get stung by mosquitoes, my mom would give me Benadryl, and by the time I was like 7, she's like, you get stung, drink the Benadryl. So then I'd go outside. My brothers would take my shirt off. I get stung by a bunch of mosquitoes, and then I'd come inside and try to soothe it by drinking Benadryl to the point where I passed out. And then eventually my mom had to bring me to the doctor because Benadryl wasn't working anymore. And like, yeah, your son's an addict.
Holy shit.
Mom of Benadryl.
Your son's an addict.
Yeah, it's weird.
Allergic to mosquitoes. That would suck.
Yeah, well, like everyone is. It's just my skin's like bitch skin, so it doesn't. Yeah, everything's weird about it.
Allergic to anything else, or just mosquitoes?
Mosquitoes, but I also have something called dermographitis, where it's like it's a skin thing, and it's not contagious or anything like that. It's what happens is, you know, when you hurt yourself and it swells up, like the healing response of swelling is something that's contained to if you need it. My body doesn't go, it needs to swell, so I could take like a key and carve in like Kyle, like super lightly, just like,
yeah,
and then it'll swell up and you'll see Kyle written on me. I'll do it later.
Wow, nothing about
and God, nothing about your for like 10 minutes and then leaves again because my body's just like, oh, there's damage, swell.
Nothing about your body makes sense. I mean, look at this.
Holy shit!
You can't tell, but this is paper. I'm touching paper right now.
Incredibly dehydrated.
That's paper.
Paper.
Your hair is made of straw. I didn't notice until now. But your hair is just straw.
Are you even real?
I don't know why Kyle's being so hungry.
This is part of the co-hosting gig.
Is your co-host always going to be the mean one?
I mean, I didn't think
it's like
so.
Good cop, bad cop.
That's kind of, I think, what's been happening lately.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'll say a compliment and you just you ream into him.
Yeah. What?
Intoxicated becomes good cop, bad cop. The 2-year reunion. Just have a RoboCop as your sidekick. Would be a good RoboCop in that blue suit.
RoboCop.
I was gonna say something, but I didn't want to reveal too much personal information about you.
Oh, well, I want to get... Well, he said he's down to talk about anything.
What's your dad do for a living in? Or what did he do?
He's... I grew up with, like, a super military dad. So he was in the military. He was a military police for, like, 15 years. And then after he did that, he was a sergeant of the RCMP for a while. And then after that, he became a private investigator. And then after that, he started working at a maximum security prison as a hostage negotiator.
Wow.
A hostage negotiator.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit.
Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, daily.
What?
In prisons, people don't have anything to do. Right?
True.
So you're like, what are we doing today? I'm tired of playing cards. You want to go kidnap Kyle? You get some puddings or ramen or something? Not much to do in the pen.
Oh, man. I would love to see inside a real prison.
Do you want to?
I mean,
Come to New Brunswick.
I want to, but like,
Bring you on a tour.
I feel like I wouldn't go out of my way for it. It would be one of those things that like.
That's very fair. I could bring you on if you want to set it up, I could get you a guided tour of a prison.
Are they cushy now?
No.
No?
It depends, I guess. Maybe. If you're in Norway, probably.
Yeah.
But not here. They're
Really?
like the same shit prisons.
Interesting.
They're really gross. Really gross. I had to go work there a couple
Do you think
months
I
back.
could do a tour at the prison? But the only stipulation is I get to slap one inmate with no repercussions.
Yeah.
And be like, I just like slap him a couple times in the face, like.
Does it make me a bad person if I set it up but don't tell him that he's gonna slap him? So you just slap him and we'll see what happens.
Not at all. That's great.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe like the Three Stooges, you 2 convicts. You'd be holding their pockets in minutes.
And I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get out of the cell because they put me in the cell to do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get out of the cell. Cut to me realizing you've already left and I'm locked in the cell with these 2 guys. I'm like, hey, fellas, I was just kidding around.
Isn't that like the intro to like Lemony Snicket's? Just waking up in a prison? I don't know. I don't watch movies. I'm joking.
What movie was it?
Lemony Snicket's?
I don't know that one.
There's like 19 renditions, so I'm probably statistically I'm probably right about one of them.
Right.
Who knows?
I don't watch anything lately.
Okay,
Ugh.
question for you.
Yes.
You do this, and you've been doing this for a while, but do you do any public speaking, or does that freak you out?
That's why I'm so scared about this live show. I don't, and I hate it. I hate it.
Cool.
I hate it. I am going to be so nervous. Even if it's just hosting. I'm like being like, next up is da da da. Like, I don't know. It's nerve-wracking. I don't feel like I could do a live on-stage interview like this on like live.
No, I get
you
that.
know? Like
Why
it's
not?
It doesn't it feels weird. Like even when you stream, like if we're
We're
streaming
doing it live
now.
to Scott right now.
Yeah, like
he
you
fucked off
you
though.
don't
He's no longer
see-
part of the chat.
You don't see the audience. So
Would you do it with like colored shades?
Wait, what?
Just do like two-way glasses
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can't see them, but they can see your eyes.
maybe. I mean, I think it is like the seeing the crowd that freaks me out.
Right.
But to assume that I will have a crowd is also pretty cocky. Who knows?
You market it good, and people will show up.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Halifax is cool for like the amount of scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like of the amount of shows and stuff. So it is a little bit harder to market shows in comparison to like other places where there might not be a lot of stuff. Like it's super easy to market a show in Moncton because there's nothing fucking else going on. There's like a mic a week.
So you have like a monopoly kind of like.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a chance.
Everyone who knows comedy and likes comedy can go, oh, this is a thing that's happening, as opposed to here you have to. Like even some comics don't know where all of the rooms are all of the time, right?
True.
Yeah.
And also like it was like one of your guys' shows I think that I was at like leading up to the start time like being like where is everybody and like those moments of panic where it's like is anyone gonna show up and people do end up showing up and it ends up being fine because people are good at what they do and stuff, but it is nerve-wracking the idea of like where's the crowd. Like, that's nerve-wracking.
I'm so used to that now.
I imagine so.
Oh my God.
So do you work at Hell's? Or do you just regular...
Yeah, it's like a side gig. It's like a side gig. So the guy who owns Hell's is like a really good friend of mine. And then the bartender is my roommate. So it kind of all happened by accident because when I left Halifax, I went and I moved to Vancouver for a while. And then once that became too much and I wanted to come home... I was planning on moving back to Halifax, and then I landed in Moncton, and I had done one show at Hell's before I left for Vancouver as like a farewell show to kind of the Maritimes. And then so we did that, and then as soon as I came back, he was like, hey, there's a spot open like Friday, Saturday. Do you want to hop on those before you go back to Halifax? And I was like, sure. So then I did the weekend, and it went awesome, and I had a blast. And then the owner was like, hey, you should stick around Moncton and like help me with shit. And I was like, okay. And then so I was crashing on couches and stuff, and then the bartender was like, I have a spare room in my house, like if you want to stay there. We've been friends for a while before that even, and he was like, yeah, come live with me. So then I started living with him. It was planning on being like temporary and stuff, but things have just been going really, really cool.
That's amazing.
So I do like production management. So we do he's responsible of setting up like the comedy shows and stuff, like the booking and stuff like that, because I told him from the get-go I don't want to deal with money or anything like that. I want to know any of that shit.
Right.
Because I don't want to be in conflict with any comic if anything happens. I just want to be able to help this place, keep a cool crowd, and then when comics want to come perform to a crowd that wants to be there and have a good time, it's gonna be there.
Right.
So like that's kind of just, so I do production management for them. So like I've done we did 2 live Tinders in Hells that I helped them do, and like we set up a whole set and we did like a bunch of planning for it. It was like, so like the first live Tinder we did was super fun but very standard, where it was like we got this girl to swipe on a bunch of dudes, we made them write Tinder profiles, and all of them were kind of silly, so we had like 6 comics there. So when dudes would give them the profile, the comics would kind of like give them ideas for jokes and stuff like that.
I love that.
So then everybody had like an interesting profile, and then after she picked 3 dudes, there was like a match game type stuff. So she was not blindfolded, but behind like a curtain. And then she asks them questions and then has to pick which one her favorite was based off of blind questioning.
Yes.
And then that one was super cool. And then the last one was even crazier. So we did that, and then we had prizes at the end, and we didn't tell anybody what the prize were. And then we got a girl to swipe, and then we did the whole game and stuff. And then the prize was they got a free a free 6-cent sandwich from Subway, which is upstairs. So it's in the same building, and then we got them to go on a romantic date. When they went upstairs, they were followed by a camera that kept projecting what the camera was seeing downstairs, so the audience could still see what was going on.
That's bitchin'.
Yeah, so the camera followed them up the stairs and into the subway, and when the doors opened to the subway, there was a guy in there playing romantic music on a guitar.
And you coordinated all that?
Yeah, it was me, and like Evan Steves helped me with it. He's like one of my really good comedy buddies back in New Brunswick, and then with the help of the bar as well.
Well, just the production, that like the detail that goes into planning a show like that.
That's why I really like it.
That's insane.
It's been super, super fun. That's why I think like you don't have much to worry about your live show. Like as long as you have a plan and you stick to that plan, it can't go.
Yeah, totally. And logically, you guys are all right. But I just get in my head.
I get that.
I totally get in my head, and like I underestimate, and I don't believe in my ability to do it.
That's fair. I
I
never believe in anything I'm about to do, and then afterwards, if people are like, "That was pretty good," I'm like, "Oh my god,
I did it!"
You're like fangirl about it, and then you're like, "All right, I guess it's all right," and then you hate yourself until the next time.
And I think it's like the show planning, that aspect is like, if you had all like event coordination, it's such a cool thing to do something like that and like see a crowd enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's what makes it rewarding.
That's 100% what it is.
You know,
like, I want to make them happy, and I'll do whatever the fuck I have to do to make them happy. Like during when we projected during the Subway date, the bartender and I were outside having a cigarette while the cameraman was filming them, and then we realized that we were in shots. We started making out on the glass like aggressively. So they're eating their sandwich, and the crowd can just see like. They look over at us and they look at each other. They're like, "What the fuck?" And it was like the first bonding moment because they were both grossed out together.
You were making it with your friend?
Yeah. Said the bartender at Hell's. He's rad. It's great kisser.
That's so
Love
funny.
Sam.
Yeah, he's fun. Didn't think he was gonna kiss me, and then I was like, "Do it for the bit." And he was like, "All right." And then he dove in. Not a comedian, just works at a comedy club. So I've drilled in him the like. If you
I
can
respect
something, do
that.
it.
I love that bar so much.
Yeah, it's a fun place.
Hell's?
Hell's is like
you definitely have to come check
what you want in a comedy club. Like 100%. Like it feels like a New York comedy club.
I feel super blessed to be able to be there and like help them produce everything. Because of it, I've been able to get up a lot more, and like it's kind of the reason why, like it's what I think is the reason why I'm getting better at all, is specifically because of Hell. Because not only am I forced to try to write jokes to make people laugh, I'm now responsible to making sure that shows go well. So it made me stop thinking about comedy as me having to get better, fuck everybody else. I just like to be better, and flipped it into if everybody does well, the crowd has a great time, they all come back, and then everybody gets better together.
Yes.
So it flipped my perspective on how I view competition in that way. So that's like the thing that I took from it the most.
And you realize the etiquette and the details that go into making a good show behind the scenes.
So I always like helping with that kind of stuff. If anybody's like, "I'm planning on doing this," I'm like, "Well, this is what we've done before.
Yeah.
If you can take any from that."
And you did. So before we met, you called me and we talked about the live Tinder thing, because I want to incorporate something like that into my live show.
When you messaged, you were like, "I'm looking for ideas on the 150." I just texted you, and I was like, I was with my girlfriend. I was like, I'm just gonna be out for like 30 minutes on a phone call real quick. She's like, what do you mean? So I text you immediately. I was like, yo, call me, I have ideas.
Which I love, by the way, because I love talking on the phone. I love it. We gotta bring it back.
Yeah.
Friends talking on the phone.
Phonograph.
Do you remember when we used to do that? Like as younger kids, talk on the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have like 3-hour conversations sometimes.
I was grounded all the time. It was all I could do. I couldn't
just talk on the phone?
Yeah, just talk on the phone all day.
It's so great.
And then the internet showed up and then fucked it all up.
And now all we do is text each other.
Yeah, true. I was thinking about like the internet, and then you couldn't talk on the phone because your brother was trying to download porn. Are you an only child?
No, I got 2 sisters.
Oh shit! Don't have that problem though. You have other birds that hatch at the same time as you, right?
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I got an older brother.
You have an older brother. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Sparrow.
Yeah, he's a sparrow.
No, I hear nothing but good things about Hell's Basement.
Oh, that's good. That makes me happy to hear.
No one has ever said a bad thing.
Except for me. No, I'm kidding. It's warm sometimes. That's all I can say. I'm a very sweaty guy. No, it's fun. I really like it, and I'm super happy that the Halifax folk are starting to come down because I miss them all.
Yeah,
really bad.
Absolutely.
I'm doing a show down there on the 22nd of February.
Come down to the Kyle Barnet show. It's not the Kyle Barnet show. It's Kyle Barnet and friends. Brandon Michaels, Jim Temple,
and Kirsten Finch.
Oh yeah,
Kirsten
Finch. Which is cool. I was scared that she wasn't going to be able to make it, and I'm glad she can.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I
it's
gotta
gonna be
get up
like
and
an alt
visit
show.
soon. I gotta actually see
Please
it
do.
because I've only seen pictures. Man, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's like he did it. He made it like dark, and he made it like an old jazz lounge kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is kind of what he went off of.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
everything is black, red, and wood, like this old wood.
Interesting.
So it's really cool. It's like that wood that you make ships out of, so you could just like keep putting nails in and stuff like that. So it's all like holy and rustic looking. It's really beautiful. There's pandas with assault rifles on one wall.
Oh my god.
The wallpaper is just like stencils of pandas with assault rifles for some reason.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a fun place. I really like it.
So you're happy you're doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So
New
okay.
Brunswick comedy is rough in general, but
You wrote
that makes it worth
in
it.
some key points about your life,
Oh yeah.
and 2 things stick out to me. So what's this cult nonsense?
Oh yeah.
Where does this begin?
When I left Halifax and I moved to Vancouver, I met up with a buddy who was also in shows. So like this guy was like my 3rd day there probably, and we went to a comedy show, and afterwards we went out for bowls, for like tequila bowls or something like that.
Tequila bowls.
And it was me and like a bunch of comics that I didn't know. And then he was like, "Oh, I need to pee," and I was like, "I'll join you," just like to be ridiculous. And then he got up and left, and then I didn't follow him, and he came back, and he yelled at me, and he was like, "If you're going to say you're going to do something, you fucking commit." And I was like, "Okay." And he walked away, and he turned around, he came back, and he goes, "You're still not listening. You're going to watch me pee."
Wait, and you,
like,
as a joke?
I didn't know at this time. And I was like, "Okay." So I went out, and everybody at the table was laughing. I went in, and we went into the bathroom, and he was pissed, and he was like, "You don't actually have to watch me, but like, if you're going to tell people you're going to do something, do something." And I was like, "Okay, cool. That's sick. All right." And then from that day, like, him and I became best friends.
Okay.
Like, we did everything together. I was like, this guy's just trying to help me out. He's just being ridiculous about it. So we decided we wanted to go
I feel like that's a red flag.
Yeah, for sure.
First red flag.
Yeah.
I have,
Folks at home, drink every time you hear a red flag.
I'm sorry for the alcohol poisoning. I'm a worse judge of character. But I love him. He's still one of my favorite human beings of all time. And I talk to him regularly. He was like, "We should go to Vancouver Island." And I'd never been. I was like, "Cool, let's do it." And then we had to take a ferry, but we showed up, and we had done mushrooms the day before, and we were kind of like hungover and stuff. So we just grabbed the ticket to hop onto a ferry, and then we took it. And then after like 3 hours on the ferry, we showed up to this place that wasn't Vancouver Island. And we were just like, "What's going on?" So we asked the people at the dock, and they were like, "Oh, this is Salt Spring Island. Like, Vancouver Island is like X number of kilometers that way. You got on the wrong ferry."
This is a horror movie already.
I was like, "Oh shit, okay." We'll just take the next ferry out, and they were like, "Oh, there's only one a day, so like you have to be here till tomorrow now." So
what?
So I look at my buddy, and he's the one who's like, "Commit to anything." I was like, "Looks like we're having a night on Salt Spring," and he's like, "All right, let's make it the best." So we started walking around the pier, just talking to people, trying to figure out what to do, what was going on, because we were stuck there now. And there was this young girl. She was like maybe 20 or whatever, and she was sitting there just like reading, and I showed up, and I was like, "Hey, listen, we got here by accident, we have no idea what to do, so if you could bring us to like a hotel or a motel or anything like that. She's like, well, there's no motels or hotels on this island. But my grandma's coming to pick me up and she'll bring you into town. And I was like, there's a town. Okay.
Red flag
cool.
number 2.
Cool. I was like, all right, cool. There's a
Never
town.
hitch a ride with grandma.
We hitchhiked a ride with grandma. She was rad. She showed up, not sketchy at all, that 2 dudes with backpacks were there. And she was like, yeah, hop into the cab. And we're like, okay. So we hopped in. And then before dropping us off to town, she wanted to stop at a farm. So we showed up to this farm. There's weed growing everywhere. She buys cookies. And a bunch of other vegetables and stuff, and she shows up and starts feeding us cookies, and we're like, okay, we can trust this lady, she's a sweetheart. And then so she's telling us all about the island, and she was like, yeah, like, don't worry, you'll find a place to stay and you'll find food, like, everybody here is very helpful and you'll have a great time. And we're like, has anybody like does anybody ever get hurt here? Like, this sounds like paradise. She's like, no, well, there was this one guy a couple years ago, but like, that's it. And I was like, oh,
this
shit.
is literally
Okay.
out of a movie.
It was weird.
Holy shit.
Then she dropped us off into town, which town was a walk-in clinic, a little, like, grocery store, a weed dispensary, and a cafe. That's all it was, in a field. So we went to the weed dispensary, obviously.
Of course, as you do.
And then we're sitting there brainstorming. You're like, you can't buy a tent. And there's like, what do we do? And then there was another girl sitting there, and she was smoking weed by herself. And so I was like, hey, excuse me. And she turned around and was like, if you want to smoke with us instead of being by yourself, like, we're just trying to get to know what's going on around here. If you want to join. She was like, yeah, absolutely. So she came over and we rolled a joint. We started smoking. And so we kind of told her our quandaries and what was going on and how we had gotten there. And she was like, well, if you want, I'm taking care of my friend's farm. You can come stay with us for the night. And I was like, what kind of farm is it? And she's like, oh, we raise like llamas and a bunch of other animals, and like we raise fruit, or we grow fruit and vegetables, and we sell it at the market. And I was like, oh, that's sick. So we showed up to that place that night, and it was super nice because everybody who was at the farm was gone for that weekend. So there was like 3 people there, but everybody kind of minded their own business.
Yeah.
We slept in her barn, me and my buddy, and it was a lot of fun. We just had a fire and like drank and talked and stuff, and it was super cool.
Oh my god.
And it was like one of the greatest experiences of my life. Like, she was super rad, taught me about a bunch of stuff that I would have never thought about before. And then she was like, hey, like, now that I know that you guys are cool, this is like a vegetable and animal farm, but there's a community that we could go visit and stay at tomorrow. That's where I normally stay. You can join us. We're like, what do you mean community? And she's like, well, there's a bunch of people who live there, and we just work for the guy who owns the property so that we could stay there, and everybody kind of lives together.
Here we go.
And
take a turn.
I'm a dum-dum. So
take a turn to Crazy Town now.
So I said yes immediately. I was like, yeah, let's try it out. Let's check it.
Yeah.
What's one more day? And we wanted to check it out and then leave. And then showed up. It's this windy road. There's this giant gate. When you open it up, it says Aloha. And you have to lift the gate and pull it out on a wheel. And then we walked up, and it was like 3-minute walk through the woods and trails that did this. And then we got to like this big house. And I hadn't had cell phone signal in like 2 days. And then as we showed up, there's this guy, and he walks out, and he's like cargo shorts and a shirt, like a Hawaiian shirt, opened up. And he's like, you guys made it. I was like, who's this guy? And she's like, oh, this is Greg. He owns the property. Okay, how does he know that we were coming?
Oh
like, what is
gosh.
happening? So then I started getting a little nervous. And then he was like, okay, well, I'm going to give you guys a tour of the property. And he brought us around the back of the house. And there's this giant farm. And he's like, this is where the animals are. And next to it is where the gardens are. And there's just a bunch of people everywhere, just like hippies hanging out, being free, naked, on trampolines, hammocks, spinning fire, just doing a bunch of weird stuff. And I was like, this place is super cool. And he was essentially like, so this is a sex positive place. So if people come on to you, it's okay to not be into it, but don't be weird.
Okay.
I was like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Don't be weird.
I was like, okay, that's cool. And then we like kept walking around. And then at one point he's walking down a trail, and he just like puts his hand out, and his kid runs out of the bushes and just like grabs his hand, and they start walking together. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this kid? And there's just a bunch of kids everywhere. So all these hippies are having kids with each other, and they're like communal kids.
Oh my gosh.
And it turned out awesome. Everybody, like, they cooked us supper that night, and we hung out with them, and it was sweet. And then there was like this mini tea ceremony thing where we drank tea. Turns out it was a bunch of mushrooms. So then we tripped.
Oh my god.
That was cool. All I remember is like running through a field naked that night, which was super.
But you
cute.
didn't know you took mushrooms. You thought you were just drinking tea.
They told us eventually, but not initially. Yeah, it was kind of just like a surprise.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
which was super rad. That's always fun when somebody doesn't tell you that you're on drugs. That's fun. I've been dosed like a bunch of times. Weirdly enough,
Really?
I trust people way too easy. Yeah,
Oh my
it's awesome.
God.
I've been dosed like half a dozen times at least.
What the fuck?
Whatever. Somebody's like, take a drink. I'll be like, I don't want to be rude. That's just how it is. So we got real stoned, like real fucked up, and then X number of days passed. I think it was like 3. And we were sitting at a table. It was a morning. I hadn't slept in like 2 days.
And at this time, were you working? Like, did you have things you had to get back to, and did you just?
No, I just took some time off to.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I was working in the film industry at that time, and it was just like a lot. Like you were working like 18-hour days for 14 days in a row, and here's like I was exhausted, so I was like, fuck it, I'm taking an indefinite amount of time to go check out Victoria Island. I was planning like a week.
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
Right? Like nothing like too crazy.
So it's not like you unexpectedly stayed. You just kind of rolled with it. You were like, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna roll with
It's
it.
not as menacing as that was. However, I wasn't supposed to be there at all, and it's now day 4. And so I'm just sitting there in the morning, and I'm talking to this guy, and we were just talking about this place, and I was like, how did you show up here? And he goes, well, I'm originally from Montreal. I used to be a lawyer. I came to Salt Spring Island so that I could take part in a Buddhist retreat, but I showed up and it was closed. They just hadn't marketed it, and so they welcomed me here. I stayed here for a week. Went back to Montreal, realized I hated being a lawyer, so I quit and moved here permanently. Wow. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's crazy, but awesome. How long have you been here? And he goes, oh, a couple of months. I was here March 2016. And I was like, dog, that's 3 years. And he just giggled. And he goes, oh, I guess. And I freaked. In that moment, I was like, I had like everything flashed in front of me, and I was like, we need to go immediately. So I ran into the bar and I grabbed my buddy, and I was like, we need to go right away. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, we gotta go now. I'll explain on the way. So we were grabbing our bags, and as we were packing all the stuff, because we just had like a tent in a barn, he was like, what's happening? And I was just like, Jacques been here for like 3 years, and he thinks it's been a month. And he's like, what's the big deal? I was like, we weren't supposed to be here. We've been here for 4 days.
What is time?
Yeah, exactly. We had no idea what was going on.
Time doesn't exist
anymore.
here.
So we were like, holy shit. So we started packing our bags, and we were like in panic mode at this point. And we had no idea what time of day it was, and we knew the ferry came like right before sun came down. So we were like, we could get there, I guess. So we packed our bag and we started sprinting down the driveway. And as we're leaving the barn, the guy who owns the house walked out in the front door, still wearing like Hawaiian shirt, cargo shorts, and was like, see you guys, you're welcome back anytime. And we just pieced. We just ran away. And then we made it. We stayed there for like an hour at the pier. Ferry showed up and we took off. And when we were taking off, we realized we're like, all of these people that we talked to were brought here because they were doing other projects that all happened to be closed, but they never corrected it. So everybody was like, I came here for a yoga retreat. I came here for a Buddhist retreat. I came here to learn Reiki.
Then that never happened.
So this dude's just in his house putting out articles being like, come to this. These are these pictures of these people. And then they show up, and then he sends out his pretty hippie children to go out and be like, hey, come hang out. Yeah, it was.
Did you get laid there?
Yeah. It was weird. That's part of. I was running through a field and I slept with a furry bear. That's essentially what it was. It was lovely. You just slept naked in fields for nights. It was really warm all the time. It was cool. Yeah.
Whoa.
But everybody was sleeping everywhere. I may have a kid. Who knows? I hope not. Holy shit.
That's madness.
Yeah. So we ran back, hopped onto the ferry, went back to Vancouver, and that was almost the time where I was like, I should go back to New Brunswick. Things are getting weird.
How do you go back to normal life after experiencing that?
Oh, I don't know. It fucked me up for a little bit. it was super weird because I went right from that
Yeah.
back into Vancouver. So it was like bus, like we were staying with a buddy at the time who was like on East Hastings, which is like the hood of Vancouver.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like walk through like Aladdin style markets where people are trying to sell one shoe.
Yeah.
And like you're just walking around, and I was like,
shoe.
I was just one. Yeah, just be like, you need this tennis shoe. You're like, where's the other one? Nah. That's kind of like how it feels the entire time. And I was like, I was just at a place where like people were like cuddling chickens and eating their eggs, and now I'm dealing with this stuff. And I didn't really know how to tell people because you can't just be like, hey, what have you been up to the last week? Oh, I had this come up at work. What about you? I joined a cult. Like,
Yeah.
people weren't down for that.
But there was
at
no
all.
name for this cult, right? Like, they didn't call themselves anything, did they?
No, I don't believe so.
But it was clearly culty.
The name of the property was Aloha. That's just what they referred to it as. Like, if you go to Salt Spring, you can ask for Aloha. And as we were leaving, we were running on the road to try to get back to the ferry place, and this guy stopped to pick us up. He was just in a pickup truck, and he was like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're trying to get to the dock. And we're like, why are you guys running? And we're like, we were just at Aloha, and we just realized we're running late. And he was like, you were at Aloha? It's like, yeah. I was like, hop in. So we hop into it, and he just took off, and he brought us back to the dock. So like, everybody there knows that it's what it is, but they don't address it because that sex cult brings them the best fruits and vegetables on the island.
Whoa. Reminds me of the movie Wanderlust with Jennifer Aniston.
I've never seen that film.
I think it's a similar type of thing.
Cool. She doing a sex cult?
Kind of, from what I remember. Like hippie-ish, like a hippie-ish community.
The only sex cult movie I remember seeing is Eyes Wide Shut. And it was nothing like that, so I was not prepared.
That's madness.
Yeah, so that was a wild experience. And then I came home afterwards, and everybody was like, wow, how's Vancouver? And that was like the thing I wanted to talk about the most, because that was like, it was my favorite thing, because despite the fact that it was terrifying, it was like probably the best indefinite hours of my life.
It's a story,
I had no idea
too.
how long it was.
It's a story.
And it was also just super fucking cool. Like, it was the best I've ever eaten in my entire life. They were like, go in the garden, pick up some carrots, and you're just eating carrots while somebody's just naked in front of you. And you're like, this is a lovely place.
Whoa. I don't know if I would be comfortable there.
Yeah.
Not much of an
exhibitionist.
Exhibitionist.
Me
You
neither.
you seem like you are, because you said that you ran through the field naked.
I was on a lot of mushrooms.
That's true. You wouldn't do that if you weren't?
No. Not at all. No. I used to get naked all the time as like a joke, like when I lived in
That's a joke.
Yeah. A fat guy gets naked, it's hilarious kind of thing. So whenever we were having like our parties in university and stuff, I would always get super hammered, and then somebody would challenge me to like wrestling or something, and I really don't want to wrestle, so I'd get naked so that if he wrestles me, it makes him the weird one.
Right.
So that was like my go-to tactic, but now as an adult, I would not want to be naked.
No.
Not in public.
No, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I'm ashamed of my body.
I love that you said it with a smile, though. It's okay. I'm ashamed of your body as well. You look very handsome. You're like a bag of bones inside of a person.
A bag of bones inside of a person.
You're good. You're doing all right.
I'm doing okay. Good.
I feel more comfortable naked than with clothes on.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm always uncomfortable, regardless, I think.
Yeah.
For the most part.
We're just a
Regardless
bunch of
clothes.
uncomfortable people. Bunch of anxious people running through life, not knowing what the fuck we're doing.
I'm feeling pretty good right now, though, if I'm being honest.
That's wild. So you said, okay, so when did you lose the weight? Because you lost quite a bit.
Yeah, so I lost 2008 into 2009. I lost the first 60
you
pounds.
lost 2,008 pounds?
2008 pounds. Yeah. I used to be a Ford F-150.
Were we at the British casinos?
Jesus Christ.
Anyways.
Yes. I lost 60 pounds in 28 to 29, or 2008 to 2009, and then I lost 90 pounds from 2009 to 2011.
And how did you lose it?
Eating disorder?
Oh, no!
Sorry, guys. Surprise. Yeah.
Oh.
It was. I started going to university. I was also poor. And then I was like, I'll just smoke cigarettes and drink coffee and get through this. And then as I started losing weight, people were like, you look great. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
You just didn't eat?
No, hardly. I ate a lot of cans of tuna,
Okay.
peanut butter, and bananas.
I'm like
essentially
making
all I
notes
ate.
here. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, coffee,
Peanut
cigarettes.
butter, tuna.
Coffee and cigarettes.
Yeah, I ate a bunch of bananas. Like, you can get like $3 of bananas for you for 2 days. I'm not advocating this.
I hate that I
but
feel hungry.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just
I feel like I
it's
could
just
never
being a
be
human.
anorexic because I'm
Yeah.
always hungry. And it's hard for me not to give in to hunger.
Yeah, that was my problem as well. And then you just like, I don't know, I smoke cigarettes because it stops you from being hungry.
Oh, it does that.
Yeah, and then you smoke weed, it gives you the munchies, so you chain smoke cigarettes to forget that you're hungry, and then you just.
So it
keep
was
going
just,
that bitch
it wasn't the healthiest way.
It was the least
It
healthy
was
way.
bad.
Yeah, but it was validating, so there's that.
Oh, man.
Yes, it was weird.
But you obviously, like, you lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And so did confidence come instantly with that or no? Because, like,
it was always weird.
Was it?
Yeah, people, it was just like, you realized, hey, this might not be a great thing to do because I was fainting all the time.
Oh,
and then
gosh.
everybody was just like, hey, you look great. What the fuck are you doing? And then everybody thought I was doing cocaine because I have my anxiety kind of manifests in like Tourette's, like so like my eyebrows twitch a lot and my jaw rolls. I've never done cocaine in my life, but I have the mannerisms of someone who would.
Right. It would, to people who don't know you, it would look like you did.
I look like a cokehead, yeah. That's
Really?
Like a regular thing.
Wow.
So everybody just thought I was doing drugs, and my dad, being a cop, was like, "You doing drugs for sure?" And I'm like, "No, I promise, I'm not doing any. I'll do any drug test you want."
You're just really anxious.
Just real anxious, not eating. And then everybody was like, "Oh, well, if you're not doing drugs, good for you. You're looking great. Keep doing it." And I was like, "All right, I guess I'll keep doing it." And then it just kept going down that wormhole. I'm gonna steal some of this.
Yes.
Sorry to damper.
Do you guys
Supposed
want
to be
more
a comedy
vodka?
Podcast. No, I'm just gonna have a little bit of water.
No,
because I have to drive
You sure?
us to a show. Thank
That's
you, though.
true.
I have this other
You are
joint
driving.
ready for me as well. It's just one shot, guys. I'm safe.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that anybody who wants to lose weight do my thing, because clearly not smart.
Clearly not the best.
However, if you want to smoke cigarettes to be pretty, do it.
Just do it. You won't get the craving for the pizza so much.
You still do.
Yeah.
You still do.
Well, weight loss is so tricky. But also, too, like, do you still... Because I've heard when people lose weight that they still see themselves as bigger.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll...
Like, because you're not at all.
If people give me compliments, I'm like, cool, thanks.
Yeah,
And my
yeah.
brain immediately goes to like, what the fuck are they saying this right now? And that's kind of just... My brain refuses to let me validate myself for anything that anybody says, because growing up, everybody was like making fun of me and stuff. So I was like, those experiences can't be wrong, so these guys must be wrong.
Whoa.
That's like weird.
I mean,
weird
it does take a skill to take a compliment. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like this is
sociopaths.
an issue amongst comedians in particular. Like the ability to take a compliment when people are like, "You had a really good set tonight."
That's true.
Like comedians have issues taking that.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's so fascinating to me because it's like
Now that you say that, you're absolutely right.
100%. But like I think it's Chris like always says, like the good ones don't take compliments because you're always wanting to strive to be better, like make your craft better, like be funnier, like be the best.
Yeah, but if you made me like a dope macaroni and hot dogs right now and I'd eat it and I was like, this amazing macaroni and hot dogs, you'd be like, fuck you, I can make a better macaroni and hot dog. You're going to take the compliment. You go, thanks. And the next time you make macaroni and hot dogs, it'll be even better, and I'll still be like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
So I think it's not bad to validate people, even though it might not have been their best thing, to be like, hey man, good job, keep working at it, good job. And then next time they'll want to do better.
I would agree.
Sure.
I would agree.
Going.
And I also think y'all should give yourselves more credit for what you do.
I like giving other people credit. Good job, Kyle.
Thank you.
Because it takes a skill to get up on a stage and spew jokes out.
I think I'm just dumb.
Yeah.
You can be brave or dumb. Either or. One or the other.
So when you started comedy, did you do it consistent? Like, were you consistent with it, or did you do it and then stop and then do it and then, like, or
yeah,
did
I've
you?
never. It was weird. It was like balls to the wall. Kind of started and then got my first show at High Life, and then I had to wait like a week before I could get on to another show because nobody else had seen me or anything like that. And then the next week after that, I did all of the mics in town except for what used to be Goofy Moose. So I did like Beerley's, I did The Local, I did Gus's, Oasis, everything in 1 week, and just ate shit for 5 days. Just it was bomb. And then after that, I don't blame anyone for not putting me on regularly because I was dog shit. So it was like just whenever I could. And then I started working with a couple comics from here that were like smaller time comics. And then we put out like smaller production shows at Freeman's in Fairview and at Jacob's Lounge in Dartmouth.
Nice.
So we kind of had like our little avenue with like regulars that would come in, and that kind of gave us a place to workshop so that I could hopefully get onto the Halifax scenes that were already established here. So it was like we were doing that, focusing on that to try to get better, to be able to make those guys like us.
Right.
So it was kind of like a workshop thing that we kind of started doing, which was a lot of fun. And then started doing, as soon as they would let me do the shows, I would say yes every time. But I was still coming out every night. Like from the day that I started doing comedy, I've went to every show that I was around.
That's
like
so
even when
good.
I'm not on, because I just like comedy and
to just watch. I love that.
Yeah.
I love seeing other comics come out to just watch shows.
Mhm.
And like it shows that you're interested and you're supportive of the scene and
and like
everybody.
there's nothing funner than you watch somebody do a joke and it might not be great, and then the next time they do that joke, it's more solid and they have new tags and you're like, oh, what? That's awesome.
Gets a bit
And
better
then,
each time.
Yeah, exactly. To watch that grow, it's like, if you have, do you have any musician friends?
Yeah, sort of.
So you watch them and they're like, I have this cool little riff, and you're like, that's fucking sweet. And they play that riff for 3 weeks and you're like, okay, this that's it now. And then you come back 2 weeks later and they're like, check this whole song from start to end, and you're like,
whoa,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like doing that, and it's a comedy kind of.
It's the same kind of deal, and like slowly you get your voice and your style
exactly
kind of down, and
if you sound like Oasis, everybody hates you.
it's really interesting. Yeah, it's
I don't mean the club, I mean the band Wonderwall.
I know what you mean.
Oasis was fun. I miss that place.
Martin Edwards would not agree with you about Oasis. He loves Oasis.
Martin Edwards loves Oasis?
I think so.
The band, yeah, he loves Oasis.
Yeah.
No.
And
I
he
feel like
loves.
you guys are fucking. This is a prank.
No.
He used to be like a cool punk kid. How does like Oasis?
I don't know.
I hope he's there tonight. I'm gonna ask him immediately as I see him. Just come in the hug, and I'm gonna whisper, "Why do you like Oasis?"
I'm trying to picture Martin as a punk.
Yeah, he used to be the bassist in a punk band, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
or like the guitar. Should I not be outing him or something? I apologize.
No. I think that's.
I don't know if that's public
I did
information
know
or
that
not.
he was in a band. I didn't know it was a punk band.
Yeah, he was in a punk band, if I'm not mistaken.
So did you say that you went through a goth phase?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I was like, I wasn't goth. I was an emo kid. So
You
it
were
was like,
emo?
Oh, it was weird. Yeah, just like straight up the South Park emo kid is who I was in real life. Kind of stuff like the crazy bangs. I'd paint my fingernails. I'd wear skinny jeans, but I was still large at the time, so it was a disaster.
Did you listen to emo music?
Yeah, only.
Really?
No, I listened to emo music and like prog metal, which is even weirder. Yeah, it's just like if you're saying about being sad or a wizard, I'm down. That's kind of how I looked at it. And then,
That's hilarious for me to think about because you don't seem it right now at all.
It took a lot of growing.
Eyeliner and black nail polish.
Yeah, my parents hated it. It was great. We did that, and then it was like at the end time of emo. So like I was around for the entire MySpace generation kind of stuff. Were you on MySpace?
Absolutely.
So it was like that's kind of where that was all bred. And then we did that, and then when MySpace kind of started losing traction, everybody turned into from emo kids to scene kids. Is what they were all referred to.
Scene kids.
Right?
What were scene kids?
So scene kids were the complete opposite of emo kids. So it was like, instead of being droopy and sad and paint everything in black and red, we're going to wear vibrant colors and be sad but try to be extroverted about it to be more annoying.
Interesting.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and then you listen to like pop punk, not like good like MXPX or like Blink-182 pop punk, but like shit pop punk about
like Newfound Glory.
No, I like Newfound Glory.
I liked Newfound Glory a lot.
I like Newfound Glory, yeah.
I was a pop punker for sure.
Yeah, I loved pop punk, but then you had like the subcategory of the same way as like you have people that love metal, and then you have the people that are like Dimmu Borgir and Frostfang. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Hail Satan, I guess. I don't know.
Hail Satan.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm trying to picture. Do you have? Oh God, like I'm trying to picture you as an emo kid. It's crazy.
Off air, I'll show you pictures. There's a few of them that I haven't deleted just because I thought they were hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll show you those after.
So Vancouver, and then you moved back to New Brunswick, and then so when did the crackhead roommates come in?
Oh geez, that was before I left. That's why I left Halifax.
The Crackheads were in Halifax?
Yeah, the Crackheads happened here.
What happened here with this?
So I was living in an apartment with another dude who was doing comedy, and he, for a lack of better terms, he decided that nothing was important other than him doing Percocets so that he could do jokes about them, and then kind of let everything roll into itself. Course. Yeah. And then that's the story for after. That I'll tell you after. Anyway,
please do.
So essentially, my roommate just came up to me one day and was like, "Hey, yo, I'm taking off to New Brunswick," and I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll see you Monday," because it was like Friday, so I thought he was just like going home for the weekend.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, like I'm not coming back." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he had packed his whole car up, and he was just like, "I'm moving out."
What?
And I was like, "Can't do that. Can't just tell me you're moving out like 2 weeks from when rent's due and being like, see ya." And that's exactly what he did. So I got evicted from that place. First place I've ever been in. Like I'm a great tenant. I was loud and smoked a lot of weed, but like, hey, shit. So I got evicted out of that place, and I was living in my car for a few weeks at least.
That's brutal.
Yeah, just like going
sleep.
To shows.
Like where would you sleep? Like you'd park it and just sleep?
Actually, I'm super grateful because a lot of the comics in Halifax started like stepping up and giving me places to sleep. Like I slept at Brendan Michaels a bunch. I slept at Richie's a bunch of times. I slept anywhere where somebody was like, "Hey, I have a couch you can crash on."
Nice.
So I did that, and it was really cool because I was still new to comedy. It was within my first year of being here, and everybody just being like, "Hey, I see that you actually need help. Come, I'm willing to do that for you.
Come stay with me."
And it kind of it showed me like, it wasn't just a scene where everybody were colleagues, but everybody was trying to be friends, and kind of, I was like, I really liked it. And that's why I think Halifax has always been like my favorite place, despite all the other scenes that I've seen. This is like the one that I miss the most.
Because it's tight-knit.
I love everyone here. Yeah, like everyone here is a real person.
Yeah.
There's very few, like obviously there are comics here that are out of the realm of possibility that you could consider having a conversation with them and stuff like that. But for the most part, everybody who's in the immediate scene is awesome, and everybody's willing to talk to you, and like even if they're having a grumpy day, you can still go up and be like, "What's up, dude?" And they'll be like, "Hey, man."
Aw,
and like
that's
still
nice.
be versus a lot of other places they don't like. I got yelled at for talking to a dude before an open mic in Vancouver one time. I was like, "Hey, man, how are you? You want to smoke?" And he's like, "Don't talk to me. I'm getting ready." And I was like, "Okay."
It's like it's a little too oversaturated. Would that be the word?
Probably. There's
maybe similar in Toronto too.
I've never been to Toronto, but I could only assume that's what it would be.
Like overwhelmed with comedians at all these shows.
Like
it's like too many.
Here there's mics every night of the week, and you have 5 to 7 comics, each doing incrementally larger sets.
Sometimes 10.
Sometimes 10. Incrementally larger sets. And that's kind of how everything is ran. So everybody gets a block of time to get better, as opposed to you go to a big city and you have to sign up. So you show up super early, you put your name on a piece of paper, and that determines where you are. You're not messaging Martin or Andrew being like, "Hey, can I get on Augustus Monday?" And he's like, "All right, you're second," and you're like, "Okay, cool," and then you can get ready.
Right.
There's none of that. There's no safety blanket. There's no anybody being like, "I want you to do well, so this is what's going on." They're like, "Here's the Wolves, go for it." So you put your name, and sometimes you're the 48th performer in a night doing 3 minutes.
Holy shit.
So you're just like, what? Like one time I showed up, it was like my 3rd week, and I sat outside that place just chain smoking cigarettes for like 3 hours waiting to sign up because I didn't have much going on that day. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get a good spot and everything's gonna be sweet. So I signed up and I was 12th. And regulars just kept showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. And then I was bumped and I was like 29th at that point, and like most of the crowd left. And because 3 minute sets is like, you go up, you have time to bang out. Like, I have 3 minutes, you have like two jokes. Like, I have like longer. I have nothing like standalone. Like, Kyle's a joke book of a person.
Yeah, you have quick jokes.
In 3 minutes, you could do like 9 sets.
You could. Yeah, because you got a lot of like quick ones.
Yeah, you have like a lot of like, if somebody's like, "Give me a joke," you have a lot of disposable stuff that you could just throw at them and it'd be a joke for. If somebody walks up to me in the street and goes, "Tell me a joke, you're a comedian," I'm like,
how much time do you got?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna have a smoke. We'll have to talk for a while first.
That would be so nerve-wracking. 3 minutes. It's not a lot of time.
No, so it's just like, and then nobody gets to know each other because you do your 3 minutes, and you run to another place to do another 3 minutes. Like, nobody hangs out. Nobody really, like tiny communities of.
Are you expected to stay for the whole
stuff.
show when you do mics like that?
No, everybody pieces.
Yeah,
so that's the thing. So like, you show up, you bring me and Kyle. You're doing your set, you're ninth, and when you leave, me and Kyle leave with you. Right? So the audience that's there at the beginning, you have a huge audience, the show's starting up. There's 50 people out there. Aren't you excited about all the comics? 40 comics outside are like, yeah. And then you get to 10th, 12th, and there's 4, 5, 6 people still inside, and you're just like, oh my God.
Holy
and then towards
smokes.
the end, you have like some dude's grandma and a girlfriend that's pissed off at her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then that's all that's there. So they're just like, get this fucking over with. 'Cause you're up there talking about sex cults, and nobody likes it.
It's not appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
At
That's
all.
why I miss this place. And like New Brunswick, I have to drive everywhere. So like, last week I did 1,300 kilometers to do shows.
Holy
during the week.
We're
So, like,
1,300 kilometers.
yeah, because Moncton only has Hells in English comedy, which has a show Saturday, and it has a show sometimes Thursday. Friday's always trivia, and Sunday's always karaoke. So there's 2 shows every week. But I'm not always on them, right? Because that would be arrogant and annoying for everybody that was there if I was there all the time. So I go up. I do my 7 for 7 show, which is the show that I organize.
Okay, so explain 7. I always hear people talking about this 7 for 7 show. What is this?
It's like
What's
my
the-
baby. It's like it's the one thing in life that I feel accomplished with right now.
Oh, tell us all about it.
Cool.
But
it's my monthly show that I put on at Hell's. It's the 10th 7 for 7 that we've done was this month, last night.
Yeah.
And the way that it works is I figured, what do Maritimers like the most? Costco. And I was like, we'll do a Costco version of a comedy show.
Oh my
where
God.
you get 7 comics doing 7 minutes for $7. So we called it for 7 for 7. So it's like a bulk pack of comedians. If a couple of them you don't like them, there's going to be a bunch more that get through kind of stuff. So it's structured in a way so that even if somebody's not on their best performance that night, they're going to kind of blend in with everything that's going on, and overall it's still going to be a good show.
Right.
So I always do 7 comics, and then I always have an 8th so that I can just have a balance, because we always do an intermission, so 4 comics, intermission, 4 comics, in like a British style, because everybody in Moncton smokes cigarettes because they hate being alive. So you have to give them a smoke break. So we kind of do that, and then we don't sell tickets for it, so it's show up at the door, first come, first serve, gets in. But because we did it that way, people were like, can we please save us tickets? We're like, nope, not a chance. First come, first serve, come on up. It started getting busier and busier and busier.
Really?
And like last night, we sold out 75 people 28 minutes after the doors open, which was an hour and a half before showtime. So an hour and 2 minutes before showtime, we had 75 people in there getting drunk, ready to go.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I've done it 10 times, and they've sold out every time thus far, and they always get a little. Last month, or November, was the quickest, 17 minutes to sell out, which was like, my mind was blown. Like, it made no sense.
So is it the fact that it's like, it feels exclusive?
Yeah, Hells has that vibe where you have a password to get in. So
There's a password?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah, there's a password every night. So depending on what the show is, they'll make a password based off the theme of the show. So like, I think when Andrew Vaughn, Travis Lindsay, Dan Hendricken, and Martin Elworth came down, I think the password was Big Cat that night.
That's
because
amazing.
of Andrew. So you ring the doorbell, and the door guy comes up, and he has this big beard, and he's jacked, and he's like, he looks like a dwarf from Lord of the Rings, and he's like, what do you want? And you tell him.
And
the
this is a real
password.
person?
Yeah, Maddie. And he's like, what? And then you're like, tell him the password, and he's like, all right, come in. And he's like the nicest dude of all time. Like, he is the softest dude, but he's scary looking. Like,
I know.
He could be a Street Fighter character. Like,
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How do you get the password, though? Like, how do you...
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hell's Basement Comic Club.
Hell's Basement. Put it right here, Sarah.
Yeah, so whatever the event is, they'll be the password. And
that's awesome.
We always use the password 7 for 7 for 7.
Right.
So the people who come regularly, they just kind of watch out for when it's going to be, and they always show up. So there's not a lot. Like, every time we do it, I'd say 25% of them are reoccurring, that they show up to every 7 for 7.
Yeah.
But then every time, the 75% others of the other ones are like, my friends came last month, said it was great. So like, word of mouth is kind of starting to spread through Moncton, and it's just like, yeah, it's been sold out every goddamn time, and it's like, it's the one thing that I'm super happy about. Oh, thank you.
Good job. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's like.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped about it.
Okay, back to Crackheads. We got off subject.
How did that go? Okay, yeah. So I was living with a guy, and he pieced, and then I was kind of crashing with everyone, and then I found a place on Kijiji, and it was like this dope place in a dope apartment in a dope part of town, and I was like, "That's
here in
awesome."
Halifax.
Yeah, on Ogilvie Street.
Yep, I know exactly where that is.
In those big towers, and I was
Okay.
like, "This is nice." And then, so I messaged the guy, and I was like, "Hey, is it still available?" And it was posted like an hour before. And he's like, "Yeah, you're the first person to message me. Come see it." And I was like, "This is perfect." So I show up, and I meet the guy, and he has to move to Toronto. Him and his girlfriend are moving to Toronto. And he's like, "We live here. We have a roommate. He's staying, but we're leaving. So I'm willing to sublet the apartment to you. And we're getting out of here tomorrow, so you can move in tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, that's perfect, because I need to get my shit
But you didn't
out
meet
of
the
another
roommate?
place." No, didn't meet the roommate.
Oh boy.
So I
Red
was
flag.
like, I'm an idiot. What can I
So
say?
many red flags, Brian.
I'm an idiot. That's who I am. So
I'm not even going to
essentially-
ask your astrology sign. Oh, a Libra. I actually don't know too much about Libras.
We're idiots. We're forgiving and we're idiots.
Okay.
So essentially, show up,
Yeah.
move all of my stuff in, and buddy who lives there turns out super cool guy. He seems.
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's sweet."
It's weird to meet someone as you're moving in to like live together.
Yeah.
Like nice to meet you. We're about to be like life partners for a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And like I showed up and he was like a little off, but he was kind of cool at the same time. So I was like, we can get along. And then I gave him a bunch of clothes that were like didn't fit me anymore, and he was like super excited about it.
Interesting.
And then so I move all of my stuff in, and I have to go to Goofy Moose. And I take off and I go to Goofy Moose, and I come home after the show's done. And I'm getting undressed.
In your room?
Yeah. A lady storms into the house. She starts screaming. She has 2 giant friends with her. And she's yelling and freaking out. And I come out of my room and I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "What are you doing in my room?" And I was like, "This is my room. I live here. Look at the contract on this sheet of loose leaf." And she's like, "No, this is me, my boyfriend's room, blah, blah, blah." Turns out, he didn't leave to Toronto with his girlfriend. He waited for her to go to Cape Breton for a weekend, and he fucked off without her.
Shut up.
So I'm living in her room. She had no idea she was going to come home to him being gone, let alone me being there.
Holy shit.
We threw out all of her things in the trash when I moved in because they were apparently gone to Toronto. So she hates me. She's freaking out. Everybody's losing their minds. And they were like, "What are we supposed to do? Where are we supposed to go?" And I'm trying to be a problem solver, so I was like, "Why don't you just sleep on the floor?"
Oh my god!
Which realistically wasn't the smartest idea. However, that's the option I was going with at the time. So I left and I went to Goofy Moose, and I was visibly having a panic attack, like everything was fucking crazy. And then that night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, "Shit smells fucking weird. What's going on?"
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I walk out of my room and they're smoking crack, just actively petting my cat. And I'm like, "Don't touch the cat." So I'm like grabbing my cat and I bring him back to my room, and I'm just like losing my mind. And I'm like, "This is the reality. This is so fucking crazy." And then the next day I'm talking to my roommate and I'm like, "Yo, dude, I'm sorry, but I don't know who these people are and they can't stay here because she used to live here. Like, can you not," like, he seemed to be friendly with them because he'd lived with them before. And so I was like, "Can you ask them to leave?" And he was like, "Okay, fine." He asked them to leave, and then they get mad because my roommate owes them money. So I'm sitting here just like, what the fuck's going on? The Crackheads are trying to get me to cash checks for them that they stole.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, "I can't do that." They're like, "Oh, just put it in your account and just transfer me the money. It'll be good." And I'm like, "No, they're going to freeze my bank." I was like, No, they won't. You'll be good." And I was like, "Oh, I can't do this for sure." So it was like really stressful. And then it got to a point where we were just like, "You need to leave," because the Crackheads started beating up my roommates. And,
Whoa!
My roommate. And then I was like, "I can't have this happen." So he kicked them out and they left. And then I come home one day. I'm just in the kitchen grabbing a glass of water, and my roommate opens the door because the crackhead's standing outside, and he tackles them, and they start fighting in my bedroom on the ground, and they're getting up and they're throwing each other around. I go outside. I'm like, I'm going for a smoke. Fuck this. My peace. I leave. They fight through the door of the guy who lives across the hall and land in his apartment. So he freaks out and he calls the police. The crackhead runs to the apartment, grabs the Apple TV that's plugged to the TV, rips it out of the TV collapses, and he pieces. The police show up, they grab him, they grab the Apple TV back, they give it to me. The crackhead sends me a message on Facebook that night, and he goes, "Hey man, really sorry about what happened today. Next time I steal something, I'll message you to see if it's yours before I sell it."
Oh my god!
And I was like, how about...
Oh my god!
How about you just don't?
How about you just don't steal?
And he's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to not steal. And I was like, okay.
Do these people seem, do they look sketchy?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't talk to them in a grocery store, but I live with them at this point, so I have to be friendly.
What?
They loved me because I'd make them laugh. And, whenever one of them was having a bad trip, he used to be a lobster fisherman. So the way that I got him to, calm down when he was freaking out because he was too high was I would pull the couch away from the wall, and we would sit on there, and I'd get him to teach me how he would reel lobster traps in from the boat. And he would just be there, and he'd just be reeling an invisible line, and would call him down. And I was like, man, that's super cool. I'm glad you had the experience to do that. And he would calm down, and then so he liked me to the point where I moved out of there, and he'd call me for weeks after, being like, "What's going on, man? You want to hang out?" I'm like, "Nope, don't want to hang out at all. Please stop."
Holy shitballs,
yeah.
Dude.
And then.
And how did you deal? You said that you just kind of went over smoke, but how did you react to all that chaos? Going on around you?
Anxiety attack. I got tested for hepatitis 4 times.
Did you just kind of shut? Were you in shock a bit when all that was going down? All the fighting and.
You knew me then. I don't know what I was like.
Ha ha ha.
Trying to think of what. This is 2018.
This would have been 2017. 2017, maybe 2018. I don't know if I was any different. I couldn't tell if I was acting differently. I definitely felt differently. Everything was crazy, and I was having anxiety. But it was comforting as well because I would show up and I would tell the stories to everyone, and I would drive. I remember one night we were driving. I was driving Andrew Vaughn, Martin Edwards, and Travis Lindsay, and I'm telling them the story, and Travis just goes, "Pull the car over," and he sits down and he goes, "Is this real?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then everybody just started laughing, and I was like, "Oh, this is funny."
Wow, it's almost like life just throws craziness at you.
Yeah.
Life is this guy can take it.
I can't.
Let's give him a sex coat.
How much can he take before he breaks? It's pretty much how it is, I think.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so you just kind of have to learn to deal with it. Yeah.
You've had a life.
I can't remember what happened. I can't remember what happened exactly, but something was they said it was the last. Oh, I found needles in my roommate's cupboards, and I was like, I gotta leave. So I left all of my stuff behind, and I moved back into my car with my cat.
You left your stuff behind?
Yeah, I lost everything I owned when I left the crackhead's house. I'm still seeing stuff on Halifax Buy and Sell that he's selling of my things. Just being like, here's a dresser.
Were you just not attached to the stuff, or were you just so panicked that you had to get out of there?
What good is stuff when you have hepatitis?
True.
Yeah, true.
So I'm a germaphobe as well. So I was I was losing my mind. I was like, if I touch a soap or if I touch a knife that he cooked a steak with and he cut himself sometime, can I catch hepatitis? So I started freaking out and losing my mind, and I was distraught constantly. So I was like, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. And so then I hopped back into my car life. And I was like, this is no life for a cat. So a really good friend of mine was a fucking sweetheart and took my cat for the time being while I didn't have a place to live and stuff. And I started couch surfing again, did that for a little bit. I had a girlfriend at the time. But things weren't going that great because of the crackhead chaos and all that stuff. She was like, why don't you invite me to sleep over? And I'm like, because there's crackheads fist fighting in my living room. She's like, I'm not afraid. I was like, you weigh 90 pounds. He'll beat him with you. What the fuck are you just so it wasn't great. So then I wasn't allowed to sleep there. So I went back to couch surfing. And then my girlfriend finally was just like, this is too much. We need to break up. So I bought a ticket to Vancouver that night. And I took off the next day.
Whoa. Yeah. So you really do bounce when things fuck up, eh?
Yeah, I was like, fuck this. I don't need to be here anymore. I'm living in my car. I'm unemployed because my roommate before leaving got me fired from my job for suspected terrorism. It was dumb.
What?
Oh, yeah.
How are we just getting to suspected terrorism?
My fucking roommate at the time was an idiot. And we would always joke about, like, going on vacation to crazy places. And because, like, we were super original in watching Vice documentaries and shit, I guess. And we were like, we should go to North Korea. That'd be funny. And then, like, he got super into it. Like, it went more than a joke. So, like, he bought a North Korean flag and put it on our living room wall. And would have a North Korean pin on his jackets. And then he started going to work and Googling crazy stuff on his work computer. Like, how to get into North Korea, how to open a bank account in North Korea, how can you buy a car in Ukraine, traveling from Ukraine to Jordan, Syria, current state, like stuff like that.
Holy shit.
So he got pulled into an office, and they were essentially just like, yo, we need you to talk to this lady. And then they sit him in a room, and he's talking to a lady from Boston from the Department of National Defense, being like, why are you Googling this? And they had to go through the entire thing, and he had to explain to her, like, this is just funny for me. And she's like, you work for a big bank, and you're Googling this stuff. What the fuck's going on?
Wow.
So after the thing happened, he obviously got canned. They fired him. And I was still working there. But they didn't know we lived together or whatever. And so he gets fired, obviously, and then starts telling the story on stage. But we were super new to comedy, so, like, no idea how to organize jokes, structure jokes, do anything. So he was just talking about how he got fired for suspected terrorism, and people are sitting there like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on?
Like there's no joke, it's just him talking about his life.
Exactly.
Yeah, this.
and the big punchline was jokes on them. They fired me, but my roommate still lives there, and if I'm in ISIS, he's definitely in ISIS.
Whoa! Holy shit!
All of my coworkers were there that night when he did that joke. So we did that joke at the local, and my boss and a bunch of colleagues were sitting in the back of the room. And then when he got off stage, the host took him off and was like, all right, now I guess we'll bring up his roommate.
Oh my god.
And brought me up with the prefix of that was his closer. And they're bringing me up with that. And I got up on stage and I looked back and they were all sitting there just like staring at me, and I was like, So I went to work the next day.
Shit.
They brought me into an office. I remember, like, I'll never forget this. My boss, I've never been fired from a job before.
It's really quite like...
It's scary.
It is scary,
I was just working away, and she came up, she's like, tapped my shoulder, she's like, you need to talk right now. And I was like, okay, just let me lock my computer. She's like, you're not allowed to touch your computer. And I was like, what? She's like, you're not allowed to touch your computer. And I was like, okay. Bring me to the office. We talk about just a bunch of stuff. And I was like, this is all crazy stuff. And they were like, are you sending packages to people? Because I had access to, like, financial, like, people's financial information. And they were like, are you sending this to other people? And I'm like, no.
Right.
And they were like, you're sending information to people that you shouldn't be. And I was like, I'm not sending anything to anyone. I hardly do my job. I'm here listening to podcasts, just trying to have a good time. Like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. Like, I hated the job. And she was like, you need to go. You're under investigation. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about investigation? I've never done anything. Like, the weirdest thing I've Googled is, like, how fast can a giraffe run? Or, like, stuff like nothing harmful. So they're like, you need to go. You're being investigated. Please don't touch anything. Get out of the front door. So I left. And I didn't have time.
Did you get walked out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 security guards were waiting for me.
I was fired from a call center. Same thing happened.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Were they waiting outside of the door for you?
No, but they walked me right out.
Yeah, it was so fucking crazy.
It makes you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It really does.
I felt like a pimp. I was like, fuck you. No, I'm joking. I hated it. It was awful. I was super embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I walked out of the building. I didn't have the time to go from my front door to my car, and they called me to fire me. And I was like, that was a long investigation. They were like, we've seen everything we needed to see. Click. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck just happened right now. Somebody else made a bad joke and I got fired.
Were you pissed at your, like...
No, I was more pissed at the situation. Like, why would you fire somebody for somebody else's thing? Like,
right.
I could write a poem right now about something that your friends wouldn't
suspectedly.
like. And then if they get mad at you for a poem that I wrote about you, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I wasn't more so mad at him at that point. It was kind of like the best thing at the time that could have happened, because I got fired and then I went on EI. And then so I just got paid to try to learn how to do comedy.
That's
so
actually,
like,
you know what? That's a
great... It was the best thing that could have happened.
That's you make such a good point. Like turning EI into something positive and like really.
Yeah. So the universe
bunker
was
down.
like, essentially the universe was like, hey, a bunch of shit's been like a bunch of stuff is awful. Here's have a little bit of fun. So for the next 8 months, I just collected EI, went to every open mic that I could, just did that. I would sit at Humanity Cafe all day trying to write jokes and go eat bags of dicks all night for the first too long.
Well, it's paying off now.
It feels pretty cool. There's like
there.
I'm getting weird opportunities that I probably shouldn't be getting at this point, and people are just like here, but it's kind of always a challenge. Like if you're asking me to do it, I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna try my best.
Good, you should.
It's been working out for the best.
It's hard to fight imposter
point.
syndrome though.
Yeah,
because I feel like we all kind of have it in a way. Like,
they'll be like,
"Are we ready? Like, am I good enough?" Like,
it's do this show, and you're like, "Why are you asking
thing.
this other person?"
Yeah,
that's always what my brain goes to. Is like, "Why isn't this person getting that?"
It's because from what I've learned, like interviewing comedians, it's like everybody is pretty insecure.
Yeah,
everyone though.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
On every single
We're
level.
We're asking people to like us.
Because
we're going up there and be like me.
Because even the person that you see as the top.
Yeah.
Has insecurities.
Kyle's more of a bottom, but all right. But yeah, I see what you mean.
Like it's just everybody's insecure and everyone has the end goal of like they just want to do comedy well and be good at it. And what about a question for both of you?
Yeah,
we're gonna close it out soon because we gotta get to snags.
What time is it? Oh, geez,
we're getting there.
So fun.
Comedy goals. Do either of you have any comedy goals over the next, let's say, a year?
Not year. I'd say.
Or more shorter term.
Yes. Within the next year, I'm going to Kill Tony. I'm going to LA just to try to get on Kill Tony with my buddy. He bought me a plane ticket for Christmas. So that's my goal for this year is try to get on KillOny.
Amazing.
That's like the biggest goal that I got right now.
That's pretty crazy. Might just do more out of town shows. I just want to do some more town shows.
Come to LA.
Yeah, you should.
You do?
Yeah.
That's also doable. Yours is doable-ish.
I'm very lucky. I got a crazy cool Christmas present, and I'm very fortunate. Like
you just got a plane ticket to
LA
with like a date on it, or
it's a tentative date, so we get to pick it. And it
really?
goes as long as it's within the range of
round trip
price. Yep.
Whoa! What does your friend do? Is he single?
Yeah.
Really?
He is. I'll set you up. He's dope.
Please set me up.
He works for a marketing agency.
Oh, interesting. He's
also a comedian. So
maybe that's with me. Really.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so it's him and I trying to get on Kill Tony. If one of us gets on, it's a successful trip.
That would be really fun.
I'm very fortunate as well for having friends in LA because I went to school in Fredericton, and a bunch of my friends who graduated from engineering are now working in LA doing a bunch of stuff. Like a couple of them are working. I guess one of them is working on the metro system in LA right now. So he's like, you can stay with me when you come up. So like,
that's the best way to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Find a friend, a friend that lives somewhere cool, and just be like, hey, it's been a while.
Yeah. I've been super lucky.
Can I stay with you?
Always having friends everywhere.
Yeah,
like, they're scattered amongst, so it's like super fun.
You seem like you have a lot of friends. I get that impression.
I like people.
Yeah, I get the impression that like no one's like my biggest enemy is Bryan Otter.
One person.
You have one enemy?
Yeah.
I have at least two.
You have two enemies?
Yeah, here in Halifax.
Ooh. Like, are these both adult enemies, or is there one
adult
from, like,
adult
really?
enemies?
Is this recent?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I know exactly who.
Oh shit! Okay, now I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Oh, we'll talk off mic. We'll talk off mic.
I have one enemy, and I don't even care. I'm indifferent about this person, but they don't like me no more.
There you go. Well, that's the best way to do it. If you're indifferent about them and they hate you, that's on them. They're gonna have to carry that negativity throughout their life. If you stay indifferent, you're good.
Yeah,
because you don't care.
There's too much going on in my world for me to worry about what's going on with yours if you don't like me. But I desperately want everybody to like me.
Me too.
That's a
like I'm trying to get as all of my friends.
Yeah, I like that mentality a lot.
Yeah,
it's important. I don't know. If the people around you feel better about themselves, they'll be more positive, and then you'll have a more positive experience in general. So if you're in a cafe and you're miserable and you're sitting there and you're like, and the person beside you is like, oh, this person fucking miserable. So they're not going to be jubilant or excited or whatever. They're just going to be sitting there like, okay, well, fuck. Versus if you're sitting there and you're just smiling, just looking at your phone, fucking looking at whatever. You can be looking at the fact
Right.
that somebody died in a helicopter.
Like,
crash.
fucking-
But,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But just be like, look like you want to be there. People around you're gonna get more comfortable.
Pause. Shed it.
Yeah, because like when I'm at
positively.
a cafe and I'm looking at MILFHunter.com on Pornhub,
MILF Hunter.
Find her on there.
and I start jerking off. Eventually, everyone's gonna start jerking off.
I would. In solidarity, because we're friends. I do that for you. Have you ever done that?
Group masturbation?
Hmm?
Or what?
Yeah. Have you ever done that?
No.
You've never played on sports teams? The thing they do, there's like stand around circle, come on a cookie or something, and eat it. Guys are gross. I've never played sports. So
I
just
imagine
know
that's
the
what
thing
it's
they
like
did.
then.
Yeah, exactly. I was a fat kid. I was fortunate. Didn't have to do any of that weird shit.
No.
They didn't want me on my sports team or in the circle jerk.
Oh my gosh.
Were you an athlete? Did you look like a gymnast? Did you play any high school sports or anything?
I played soccer, but not like not in a crazy way.
What do you mean?
Like just like extracurricular. Like
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Just like
I
a hot
coached
really
at one
kind of-
point. I coached little kids.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. But like
How old were they?
no idea. Young. Like that. I'm really bad.
You were so involved.
I feel like I've repressed like memories from like high school, junior high.
Fair.
Because a lot of people remember stuff, and I'm like, I don't remember shit.
Really?
From that time.
They're all burned in there. I can't get rid of them. It's like fortunate.
It's burned right in there.
What time are we supposed to get to Snake League?
Oh yeah, let's end her.
Yeah.
We are. I just feel like I could talk to you for another 2 hours.
This has
like,
been super fun.
Holy
Thank you so
shit!
much for having me.
You
This
have
has
so
been
many
super-
stories and shit. That's madness.
There's a lot going on, unfortunately.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but it's fun. That's kind of why I like doing this, because
This
I
is
get to
great.
tell stories and people are like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "You guys don't deal with this shit."
Well, you gotta come back. You gotta
I'd
come
love
back.
to. Yeah, I'd love to.
Bryan Otter Part 2.
That'd be
Come
fun.
back.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you,
been my
Kyle, for
pleasure.
joining
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah, no worries.
And we're gonna go to Sniggly Wigglies, hosted by
Ian Bryant.
Robbie and Ian, either or.
Double feature film, baby.
Yeah.
Every Sunday at Sniggly Wigglies.
Thank you for having me. This has been super fun, and this is all very rad. What you do is dope.
Oh, bitch! Okay, and where can people find you and follow you? And
Oh,
Hell's
Instagram, definitely not Otter. That's the story for next
definitely
time.
not Otter. Yes.
Periods instead of spaces.
Periods, no spaces.
Yeah, because if you're Astro Otter, you're gonna get a lot of wieners.
And Kyle is at Kyle Barnet Comedy Dum Dum.
Beauty.
And Hell's Basement is on Instagram, I believe.
Instagram and Facebook. If you're in Moncton, come hang out. It's a fucking sweet place.
And even if you're not, travel to this place because I hear great things.
Yes, please. I'd love to see you there.
I hope to go.
I'll give you a big hug.
At some
I'm a
point.
hugger.
I wish you all the best. I think you're on to things.
I appreciate that.
You're
Thank
fucking
you.
on to things, and it's just so rad to see all of you guys like do cool stuff.
It's
cool,
really-
like it's
I
just
love coming
bitchin'.
back and seeing everybody here doing cool stuff. And
Things are
you
happening.
and Brandon doing your
Yeah.
own show like made me so fucking happy. And then Jim doing the show with
Jack.
Jack,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
yes. I've met him twice. And I really like him. I have
Jack
to meet
Power,
him a couple
yeah.
times for the name too. He's a super cool dude, but their fucking show together, super cool. Their logo, their fucking marketing, for just
Yeah.
using your faces and cartooning them, sticks out every time. You're just scrolling in. It's like such a good,
It's great.
good poster for a comedy show.
It's bitchin'. But thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you. Keep being amazing. This is awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. And you get to do. You guys both can do the honors.
Do you want to do it together?
Yeah.
Yes,
But-
and you
well,
get a
can
ring.
you come in too. This has been a team.
Oh, Kyle, you ruined it. You gotta wait for Brian.
You selfish. you wait for others.
You gotta go at the same time.
Kyle's a come first, ask questions later kind of guy.
What?
You're joining in on this as well.
Okay.
Thing. This is a team fucking effort.
One,
This has been a fun
two,
podcast.
three.
Love you guys.
Peace out. Let's get to Snicks.